gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Change your grocery game plan to locally owned Century Foods, home of the best meat, freshest produce, and tastiest treats. Now through Wednesday, save on 46 to 48 ounce selected varieties Blue Bunny ice cream, 2 for $8. 10.5 to 16 ounce selected varieties Kohl's garlic toaster bread, 2 for $6. 7 to 15 ounce selected varieties Rana pasta or sauce, 2 for $7. 2 liter bottles selected varieties Super Chill soda, 4 for $5.
Let's see, spices, cardamom, hibiscus powder. It's like looking at Green Bay's roster right now. I don't recognize it, but I'll learn to love it.
Attention Century shoppers. You're going to love this opportunity. Win 2 tickets to see Green Bay play Kansas City on December 3rd, autographed Packers footballs, or 4 packs of Hall of Fame tickets.
I'd love to see Green Bay's new QB in action and win those tickets. What do I do?
Find the weekly code on Century's Facebook or Instagram and enter to win.
Love it. Getting the Century code on Insta right now.
Ends November 14th.
Hey, this is Justin Garcia from WTMJ and the Bucks Radio Network, reminding you to join me tonight for the season preview edition of Bucks Talk. We'll be joined by a handful of NBA insiders as we preview the 2023-24 Bucks championship campaign. Catch it tonight starting at 6 o'clock on your home of the Bucks, News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
At 9:03, it's 63 degrees. Morning showers moving through the area, otherwise mostly cloudy today, a high of 68. Rain chances overnight with a low of 60. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. Kennedy Middle School in Germantown remaining closed today. TMJ4's Sydney Orr's outside the school this morning.
Most students will head back to classes today, except for those students that would be here at Kennedy Middle School, as investigators continue to look into what led up to the shooting Monday night. As investigators piece together what happened, one thing they know for sure right now is that they're grateful for how the law enforcement was able to respond.
It's still unknown where Kennedy students will learn while their building remains closed. The family of Travis King says their son has not shared with them what happened while he was detained in North Korea this summer. King's mother Claudine Gates telling Good Morning America's Lindsay Davis they still don't know much about Travis's time behind bars.
Have you all asked him, what happened while you were there in North Korea?
When we asked him, he said that he couldn't tell us what happened. He told me that the Army told him that he can't tell anybody, that he had signed the agreement with them.
King faces numerous charges, including desertion, assaulting fellow officers, and possession of child pornography. New details expected concerning the murders of Diane Olkwitz and Terry Erdman this morning. Authorities will hold a press conference in Menominee Falls today where developments in the cold cases are expected to be revealed. Olkwitz was stabbed over 100 times in 1966 at the former Kenworth manufacturing facility where she worked. Erdman was discovered also stabbed to death in a field on Milwaukee's northwest side in 1971. In July, City of Milwaukee Detective Timothy Keller requested a search warrant to dig up the body of a man who died in 2008 and whose DNA is suspected to match the DNA evidence found on both Erdman and Olkwitz. After meeting behind closed doors until late last night, Republicans nominating Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson as their choice for the next House Speaker. Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer suddenly dropping out of the race yesterday afternoon. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarland.
There were an awful lot of Republicans who were absent last night during the ballots that selected Mike Johnson as the newest nominee. And there's possibly this combination of exhaustion, frustration, and embarrassment Republicans have been experiencing that caused some absenteeism last night, but it might be just what Mike Johnson needs, a Republican conference that wants this over with.
The Republican majority has been without a speaker for 3 weeks and is expected to convene for a vote at 11 a.m. Central today. Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. It was a bit of a mixed start for the stocks today, half hour from the opening bell, or since the opening bell, and we're now all in the red. The Dow Jones down 121 points this morning to 33,027. The S&P 500 down 41 to 4,206, and the Nasdaq down 179 points to 12,961. It's time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:06.
See all those plans on your calendar?
Yeah.
The appointments, the dinner dates? What about them? Cancel them.
What?
You heard me. Cancel everything.
Why?
Because once you relax on the Miles sectional sofa from Penny Mustard, you'll never want to leave your house ever again.
That's a pretty bold claim.
I'm serious. Once you're completely ensconced in the Miles sectional sofa, the outside world will cease to exist.
Okay.
This is your new home. You and the sofa become one.
Sounds kind of nice.
Sounds kind of weird.
You'll relax here. You'll sleep here. You'll eat here, build blanket forts here, and even vacation here.
The Miles sofa is crazy comfortable.
This isn't just another piece of fancy furniture. This is your emotional support sofa.
The Miles sectional sofa, American-made with ultra-high-density foam and hundreds of fabric options,
including kid and pet-friendly fabrics.
Starting at $90.28 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Team Pella executing incredible plays. Products with limited lifetime warranties. Amazing innovations. Blinds and shades between the glass. Stylish windows with hidden screens that make game days a breeze. Installation completed in as little as a day, leaving no mess or hassle. Just perfect results. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com. 6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 10/31/23.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
The Bucks will get their season underway on Thursday with their newly extended MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo ready to lead the way. After signing that 3-year, $186 million extension on Monday, Giannis addressed the media post-practice on Tuesday for the first time since pen hit the paper.
I want to be here. There's no secret in that. Everybody knows that. Like, I stress a lot of people out, you know, and I don't want to be the reason that a lot of people are stressed out, because my life is really stressed out, and I know how I feel.
Over to baseball, where the World Series is set after the Arizona Diamondbacks won Game 7 by a final score of 4-2 over the Philadelphia Phillies. They'll now head down to Texas to take on the Rangers. Game 1 is scheduled for Friday night. And lastly, the NBA season tipped off on Tuesday night. The reigning champs, the Denver Nuggets, beating the LeBron-led Lakers by a final of 119-107, and the Suns outlasting the Warriors 108-104. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic. One incident on the boards right now. We're still working on that lane closure, the right lane of 43 southbound, right Highway 32, Grafton Road, Highway 60. I can talk. That right lane blocked due to a crash right now, and we're seeing a bit of a slowdown right near that on and off ramp area. It's not extending too far out in either direction right now, but be mindful of it. The right lane is blocked, and that could lead to some closures as you're heading towards Milwaukee. The rest of the system, incident-free but not delay-free. Some volume on 43 north and south. It's a 24-minute ride from Brown Deer into downtown right now, an extra 13. Also a bit of a slow go on 94 east and westbound between the zoo and downtown in either direction right now. It's an 11-minute ride.
Traffic is sponsored by Weisgerber's Golden Mast Inn, your place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Looking for a perfect wedding venue? Open air terrace nestled over Okachi Lake. Weisberger's Golden Mast. Have it all at the lake. Your wedding place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Showers moving through southeast Wisconsin this morning. It'll be mostly cloudy and breezy this afternoon. Continued mild today, a high around 68 degrees. Chance of showers and storms overnight tonight, a low down to around 60. Morning rain on Thursday, scattered in the afternoon, a high again around 68. More mild conditions Friday, high of 68 as well. We finally begin our cool down on Saturday, partly sunny, a high of just 51 degrees. The next rain chance then coming on Sunday, a high of just 47. Right now in Madison, it's 60, same in Green Bay. In Waukesha, it's 59, and in Milwaukee, some rain showers and 63 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:10.
Good morning, Wisconsin. It's WTMJ Now. News, opinions, Wisconsin. Everything you need to know in the Badger State and beyond. Come give us your thoughts on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Here's your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Sandy Max.
And I am here on this Wednesday. Happy hump day, everybody. And Annie Schwartz joins me, Law Enforcement Hour, as we like to call it. Annie, welcome. Happy Wednesday. There you go.
Good. You know what? It's only been a week. You were asking me something. You're
People
like, was there something from last week you wanted to touch on today?
It was 2 weeks ago.
Steve, do you not know better than to ask me something from 2 weeks ago?
And it's hot in the studio. Are you heating the studio up today? What's going on?
I'm 63, Steve. I walk around, I'm a space heater, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm schwitzing a little bit over here.
It's toasty in here
today.
It
is toasty.
All right, so we're gonna get right to it because we always chat before the shows when you come on. And the crime numbers are out in Milwaukee. So I always kind of want to do an overview on this. Generally looking at the numbers, a lot of them have gone down. And there's this one metric that strikingly stands out, and that is carjackings up 36% over the last 2 years.
You know, what I see is what I think other people see when they hear about crime numbers. And I don't work there anymore. Excuse me. I'm going to cough into your thing here. I don't work there anymore, so I don't know the story behind the numbers. But that's what I really want to hear is the story behind the numbers. I hear, crime is down. But then I grabbed, and you and I were talking before the show, and I had a couple of printouts from some of the online media. And what are the two headlines? Crisis on the rise in the city of Milwaukee, armed carjackings. Milwaukee Crime Report, total offenses fall as carjacking and human trafficking spike. Now, I understood the Chief Norman's explanation for the human trafficking numbers. It's a tough crime to crack. But the carjacking numbers, that's something that I worry about. You know, most people don't worry about homicide because they say, well, that homicide is usually a personal crime, right? So when people hear that homicides are up, maybe they say, oh, that's scary. These are the kinds of things that make people nervous. These are the things that make people move. When you hear that there are armed carjackings, somebody like me who's driving into the studio this morning is my head's on a swivel at a stoplight because I'm worried that I might be a victim. Now, the argument is, of course, I should probably drive like that always. I should always be mindful, be aware of your surroundings is one of the good practices. Mm-hmm. But the fact that these carjacking numbers are up, these armed carjacking numbers are up, is really, that is something that scares me as Annie Schwartz, resident of Milwaukee.
We have a little audio from Chief Jeffrey Norman talking about this. So it's an interesting take, and I was reading it in the reporting that I was reading yesterday from the Wisconsin State Journal on some of the ideas why that number in particular has gone up, and I don't want to steal the thunder from the clip, but he basically said, we're not sure if the crews have shifted from car theft to carjacking. Do we have that audio?
Oh, he's still in your car, too.
Caught on video across Milwaukee, 343 people have been carjacked so far in 2023, up 36% over 2021 and 8% over last year.
Well, that wasn't Jeffrey Norman, but that is one of the local reporters kind of teeing that up. That number is startling. Norman said this: we are seeing various crews, unfortunately, as we take one crew off, another one pops up because of the unfortunate ease of carjackings. We have to be aware of our surroundings, which is the head on the swivel. And when I was talking about some of this yesterday, people were saying that those exact words. When you go to Milwaukee as a visitor, tourist, worker, someone who lives in Milwaukee, you pretty much got to be aware of what's going on around you.
You know, when friends come down to our home, which is in the city of Milwaukee, and they say, we really don't like to leave, Mequon. We don't like to leave where we live. We don't want to come down to the city of Milwaukee. I always say, oh, for goodness sakes, we live, and I always say this, we live in a good neighborhood. And I can't say that anymore. And the reason I can't say that anymore is because armed carjacking doesn't know a neighborhood. And we've had them happen everywhere from the Third Ward to downtown Milwaukee to all kinds of places where you might not think you would necessarily be a victim of crime. But we have to throw out all those old ideas. I'm glad that Chief Norman's talking about this and calling it what it actually is. It is crews. It is groups of armed, usually, I'm going to say young people, although I don't know what that number is either when it comes to the ages that we're talking about. But it's these crews, and they're traveling. They're going. Why would you stay and carjack somebody at 23rd and Cherry when you can go and do it, in some other neighborhood where you get a better car and somebody who's less likely to resist?
Here's a little bit of Chief Norman talking about that.
Areas crews. Unfortunately, as we take one crew off, another one pops up because of the unfortunate ease of the carjackings for some of these individuals who, we have to be aware of our surroundings.
The number of car thefts is going down.
Correct.
Is it those same?
That's a little bit of Chief Norman there. So I guess I'm encouraged by some of the other declines, but this one, as you said, is a crime of opportunity. There are crews or individuals going around looking for the right opportunity to do these crimes and to steal cars, and then doing God knows what with the cars after they get a hold of them. And thankfully, we haven't had homicides as a result of most of these carjackings, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Generally, since you're a communications expert, the way he's communicating, is this what a police chief in a city that has this kind of a bump in this specific crime needs to communicate?
I'll tell you what, I think that when he talks about the crews who are terrorizing the community, that's what we need to hear. That's what we need to do. But I think we need to hear more. Tell me, I want to, without divulging the playbook of the Milwaukee Police Department, what are we doing? What kinds of things? What kinds of units? What do we have that we've got in place?
Do they have a carjacking unit or division or group? Do you know?
Well, I don't know, but I know that
task force.
There is a traffic safety unit, and that was mostly to curb the reckless driving. But the reckless driving was an offshoot of the carjacking. You steal the car, you go drive like crazy, you run from the police, you see if you can get it up to 100 miles an hour. You hope that they don't hit an innocent citizen in an intersection. But we watch the news, Steve, you and me, right? What are you seeing whenever they show these reckless driving cases? What do we usually find out? The people bail. I'm thinking about these poor people. Let's look at how it affects us. Thelma Carroll Wine, a local business in Walker's Point, haven't even been open that long. Got a reckless driver that ends up plowing through the front of the store.
Destroyed the business.
And now this couple that has put everything into the business is having to, pick up and figure out how do we put it back together. That's the real impact that these things are having on our communities. And I would like to hear, as I say, you're asking me questions that I don't know the answers to, which are, is there a unit? Are we doing something? I don't think letting us know about those things are give away the store.
This is why I've invited Chief Norman on the show, and I will continue to do that, because I think these are questions that the public has. If we're going to be asked to treat this Milwaukee, visiting Milwaukee, working in Milwaukee, living in Milwaukee as business as usual, right? Don't change your behaviors, because then the bad guys win. What are you doing in these areas, this one specifically, carjacking, to make us feel safe so we don't have to be always perpetually concerned or in fear of our lives? And thankfully, we haven't had mass violence related to these carjackings, because that's the ugly, in some ways, the ugly ending of that story, right? The person gets out and they get shot or run over. That's the dangerous part about that.
Absolutely. And, and please don't hear this as a criticism of the way that Milwaukee police are talking about this. I know that Chief Norman is as frustrated as everybody else is at what's happening. And I know that they are sitting at 7th and State and trying to figure out what's the best way to combat this. And maybe there are things they can't share, but maybe there are things that they can.
She's Annie Schwartz. I am Steve on this Wednesday edition from a text line. I'll give you a chance to think about this question during the break, Annie. Milwaukee needs to do what other cities have done, set up bait cars to lure these individuals. We'll discuss that and more with Annie Schwartz after this on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this. Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we discuss Roth conversions, but be careful. It can affect your premiums for your Medicare.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Heiser Automotive. I've talked about it extensively. The pre-owned experience, it's something you should try, right? So I'm driving a 2021 Lincoln Corsair. I absolutely love this vehicle. The Lincoln ride, the Lincoln brand is amazing. Don't take my word for it. Go see for yourself at one of their great locations or check it out at heiserlincoln.com. When you have a pre-owned vehicle, they will certify it for you. They will give you a 100,000-mile comprehensive warranty coverage, 200 points of inspection by their factory-trained technicians, full vehicle history report, 24-hour roadside assistance, and by the way, they throw in a full tank of fuel, fresh oil, and new wiper blades. What do I love about the experience of a pre-owned? You get to see what a vehicle is like, and you know the history, so you can chop a little bit off that price, maybe the comparison between pre-owned and new, and you can still get the great Lincoln experience or all their other great brands. Find out for yourself. Go to Heiser. That's why they say every day, today's your day.
At Semper Fi, we wholeheartedly believe that our reputation is everything. And around the office and work sites, I like to say that our reputation is like the little campfire we all huddle around for life. And every time we produce a project, we all have to take a little piece of that fire, and it's our responsibility to keep it going. Every time we keep a promise, it fuels the fire. Every time we deliver on an expectation, it fuels the fire. We started out as a mom-and-pop roofing shop, and the reputation we've built and our commitment to it has made us into the company we are today. I've found that people really value a company that truly cares about their reputation, and I know that it attracts the kind of like-minded individuals that we're proud to have on our team. At Semper Fi, we work hard not to tarnish our reputation, and that's what will make your decision to work with us one you won't regret. We're Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, and you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
WTMJ Now.
I think in the business they call that walk-up music. Andy Schwartz, my guest, law enforcement communications expert on this Wednesday edition. So you got a little background and little feedback on our conversation about carjacking.
I do. I'm hearing from a detective that works at or worked at MPD who has some interesting thoughts, and I kind of like this. The perpetrators of the carjacking crime don't view jumping into an unoccupied but running car any different than using a gun to pull somebody out of the car. So in their mind, it's the same thing. They don't view a mere stolen auto any different than a carjacking. And I think that's interesting. This is from a detective who has interviewed a lot of these young people who have been arrested for either carjacking or, which is an armed robbery, right? Or people who have, stolen a car, jumped in a car that was running in the driveway when nobody was in there.
It's funny, because not funny. It's interesting that you see this rise at the same time we see 18% drop in arson, 12% drop in theft, 17% decrease in property crimes. That sort of suggests that some of the efforts of the Milwaukee Police Department are working, right? Those numbers, that's a trend that I can embrace. Absolutely, and I think that when we look at Chief Jeff Norman, we look at a chief who is listening to the community and who knows, as is the mayor, who knows that they are accountable to getting out in front of people at community meetings or wherever they might be to answer the question, what are you guys doing? So they're working hard. They're doing what they can with what they have. And I hate to be the broken record, but if you want more cops on the street to have more of these special details or special units, you want more patrols in certain areas, that means more police officers, people. And we're back to that discussion. Yeah, we've had that discussion over the last couple of months that, there was a missed opportunity with the grant. There was some expectation that we at least apply for the grant, $50 million that would supply additional officers. There was a pushback that's saying we couldn't have trained those officers anyway. I didn't buy that then, and I still don't buy it. I think we have to do everything we can to maximize the number of men and women serving in those positions. I know they're busy because I talk to a lot of these folks away from the show. I run into them all the time, and they're busy, and they're frustrated as well because they realize, like I realize, and I think most of the people listening today realize, if you have additional people on the streets to do some of these things, you should see a corresponding decline in the numbers. It's not perfect. You know, you mentioned the homicide's a personal crime, right? You can't control everyone's behavior, but certainly the response or the efforts by law enforcement, public safety, to do a little bit extra on some of these things like carjacking, like reckless driving. We're seeing actual physical changes to the roadways with I guess, limited results, right? We're trying to change the streetscape of Milwaukee to slow cars down. Some of that can work, but as our friends on the morning show were talking about this morning, when you're driving through areas that have these stanchions that are plastic and they're all mowed down.
Yeah.
One, it's an eyesore, and two, it's pretty much defeated the purpose.
Something we in the investigative parlance call a clue when those are laying down on the side of the road.
Maybe there's video that shows who mowed them down.
Well, I don't know. I remember I saw a story on a local station last night about the flock cameras, and that is one of the tools that we need. The point of the story was actually why can't police in general in southeastern Wisconsin tell us where these things are? Well, I don't know that you need to look any further than the fact that we need as many tools as we can that we don't take out an ad about. So in one breath, I'm saying, what are you guys doing about this? However, in the other breath, we have to say, there are things that are happening behind the scenes. There is some inside baseball that's not discussed.
We got to take another break here, but I want the folks in law enforcement, public safety to know I'm not blaming them.
No.
At all. And I understand, because of these conversations I've had both in studio and away from the studio, how hard that job is. And it's getting harder every day because for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. One of them, resources. The other one, sometimes public acceptance of that job, given all the things and stories we've talked about. So I'm not in any way condemning their work, because their work is still
same.
Yes,
same. We're dealing with a group that's out there doing these carjackings and stealing a car. It is just the means to an end. They just want to get a car.
I want to take a break here, but we're going to set up after the break a story. We're going to have a guest on in a little bit. Her name is Kate Stocks, and it's an interesting story from Germantown. There's not a lot of information yet about that shooting. At Kennedy, it was at Kennedy Middle School, I think is the location. And then what that means going forward for the community, the school community, parents, students. So we'll have that conversation, but we'll tee it up after this. Annie Schwartz, my guest, as she is most Wednesdays. If you have a question or comments, always welcome on the Old National Bank Talk and Text line 855-616-1620.
More of WTMJ now after this.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape.
Senior political reporter from TMJ4 News, Charles Benson.
We got a sense of, how Milwaukee was enthusiastic about this convention.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank Talk and Text line 855-616-1620 and get a link sent directly to you. It's the countdown to the RNC podcast, only here on WTMJ.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
The average 30-year fixed rate is the highest it's been in 23 years. But low overhead AccuNet still has some special 30-year fixed rate money for first-time Wisconsin homebuyers at a rate of 6.625%. That's right, 6.625 on a 30-year fixed with an APR as low as 6.8 with as little as 3% down. Household income limits apply and vary by household size and the county in which your new home is located. Now, you might be thinking this is too good to be true, but it is true, and it gets even a little better. AccuNet can also provide a 10-year fixed second mortgage at an APR of 6.625 to cover the minimum 3% down payment and closing costs. First-time buyers in today's market have an advantage. You don't have a home to sell, and the housing market is a little less competitive all of a sudden, too. Hear that sound? That's opportunity knocking. Answer the door and click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com for your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
Have you been thinking about putting away your patio furniture? With By the Yard's maintenance-free outdoor furniture, you wouldn't have to. By the Yard builds furniture for year-round enjoyment. Their outdoor furniture boasts an impressive 35-year warranty, ensuring your investment lasts for decades to come. Head over to By the Yard's showroom at Mayfair Mall in Wauwatosa to check out their maintenance-free outdoor furniture firsthand, or browse their online showroom at bytheyard.net. That's bytheyard.net. With By the Yard, life is better outdoors.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful new retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Now I can have all the cookouts and get-togethers in my backyard with some extra shade and relaxation for my guests. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington. It provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Right now, you'll receive a free motor with the purchase of awnings or screens until the end of October. Call 414-AWNINGS for a free estimate or visit comfortawnings.com.
It's WTMJ Now.
Annie Schwartz, my guest in studio, as she is most Wednesdays, talking about law enforcement, public safety, from the communication side. And we're going to shift gears a little bit. There was a shooting in Germantown, Wisconsin. Kennedy Middle School, highly publicized. We don't have a lot of information yet, Andy, but it involved the Kennedy Middle School, and the police officers on scene acted professionally and appropriately and took down this shooter because they didn't know what they were dealing with. And we don't still have a ton of information on this.
No, we don't have basically any information at all, because I think what the big question is in these things is always who was the suspect. And I think that's a question that's still hanging out there.
So we're going to bring into the conversation your friend Kate Stock. She's a local mental health professional who knows something about what is said to students and adults in these types of situations. And we welcome the show Kate Stocks on the Tri-County Contracting Hotline. Hi, Kate. Good morning.
Morning, Kate.
Morning, Annie.
So glad you could join us. You know, one of the things our listeners are probably thinking, okay, it's a mental health professional who's going to talk about what happens in the wake of these school shootings. But there's a little more to it for you than that. In 1993, you and I were actually at the same place at the same time, but in different roles.
Correct.
So I was...
Walk us through that.
Yeah, I was at Wauwatosa West High School as a reporter when Dale Brightlow, the assistant principal, was shot and killed in the school. You were a student in a classroom in that building at that time. Can you tell us about that day, about the trauma that you experienced, what you remember?
Well, and as a student who was there, it's interesting how trauma works, is that I remember all of the events very clearly in the moments before we knew what happened, and then after everything is sort of a blur in terms of my memory. Now, of course, there were other students who incurred far more trauma than I did. There was a fellow student who attempted to resuscitate and revive Mr. Brightlow. Mr. Brightlow had children in the Wauwatosa School District, his own children, who have now had to live the rest of their life without their father. But it's interesting that, a lot of students do feel like, the school does become their home away from home. It's a place where you expect to be safe. And so when something does not go according to plan, it leaves a mark.
So, Kate, that instance, it was a vice principal being killed. In this case, it's an individual who's acting erratically in a parking lot. He climbs up on the roof, shoots at the officers. They discharge their firearms, killing him. Is there still a piece for the students that say, we're concerned, we don't know what happened here? And a lot of us are still asking that question. Mm-hmm. And the role of mental health professionals in kind of figuring that out for them?
Definitely. I think that, first of all, my understanding is that the students in the Germantown School District have counselors available who are trained in trauma incidents, and trauma affects, it doesn't matter what the trauma is, trauma impacts people's mental health and physical health in very similar ways to different degrees on an individual level. In this case, also, the mitigating factors worked. The doors to the school were locked. My understanding is that the individual attempted the school doors first and was not able to get in. And also the police responded amazingly. We could not be, I think in the community, could not be more happy with how the police responded to this incident. And it went the way it was supposed to. On the flip side, these are middle school children, so younger than I was when the incident happened at my high school. These are middle school children. There was children in the building at the time when it happened. And I think just hearing the gunfire and being in that situation in the building where they heard that, didn't know what was happening, could be traumatic for some of them, and some of them it might be nothing. It's a very individual process.
So you touched on something, Kate. You said, that counselors are available to the students, right? I mean, and we hear that every time there is one of these mass casualty incidents, or when there is even just a single shooting at a school, we say counselors are available. I guess from a layman's point of view, what does that mean? What is the function of a school counselor at times like these, when mental health professionals come and work with the kids or their families?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. One of the things that I would hope, I don't know the specific training of the school counselors in the Germantown School District. What I do know is that counselors and therapists who are trained in trauma-informed care all get the same training and certification in terms of how trauma impacts the body. It has emotional, cognitive, and physical effects on individuals. It can impact a person's limbic system, the neurotransmitters, breathing, and just general functioning regulation can be disrupted. And so regardless of what the trauma is, the therapists or counselors are generally trained in how to assist the individuals in processing what just happened to them, what they saw, what they heard, and what's happening to them physically, emotionally, and biologically, and all the others.
So we always want to tell people, well, what can I do? How does that help me? What do you think what can parents look out for? So maybe there are parents that say, my child wasn't even at the school last night when this when this occurred. My child wasn't even there, but all the kids are probably talking about it. School has been closed for the remainder of the week. What kinds of things do you think parents can do?
I think the first thing is try to have intelligent, calm discussions about this incident with their kids, direct conversations. Additionally, I think parents can watch for anything abnormal in their children's behavior or presentation that could indicate something is going on under the surface, whether that's my child seems a little bit more spacey than usual. I've noticed that she or he is having trouble breathing. It could be maybe a very noticeable panic attack that somebody is having. But maybe just heightened awareness on the part of the parents, really tuned in to, children have trouble verbalizing things sometimes, and especially at that middle school age. So being tuned into their behavior and watching for anything abnormal.
You're listening to Law Enforcement Hour on WTMJ now. Andy Schwartz, Steve, and our special guest, Kate Stocks, local mental health professional. Kate, can you stay on the line? I want to ask you sort of an overview question about mental health in general. Can you stay on the line for us?
I sure can.
All right, we'll take a break here. You're listening, of course, to WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
I'm Susan Hiller from Hiller Ford on Highway 100. Have you seen the exciting all-electric Mustang Mach-E? It's a really hot-looking car. We have a great selection of 2023 Mustang Mach-E's in stock. They all come with factory rebates up to $9,250. That makes it a truly great deal. This and many more great deals await you at Hiller Ford. Stop in today and see how much you can save, and see why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
We asked people why they sold their homes to Grandview Homes instead of using a real estate agent.
We looked at a few businesses that purchase homes, and Grandview seemed to be the one that had it together. Not only did we receive a fair offer, but we were able to take as much time as we needed and could leave the house a mess.
Whether you have a hard-to-sell home, want a stress-free sale, or simply need to sell your home fast, Grandview Homes is the name you know and the name you can trust. Visit GrandviewHomes.com to discover the easiest and fastest way to sell a home.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, I'm Susan Hiller with Hiller Ford on Highway 100. Well, it's that time of year again. The leaves are falling, and so are our prices here at Hiller Ford. Right now, we're offering 1.9% FlexBuy financing for 66 months on 2024 Ford Edges. Plus, you get a $2,000 factory rebate. We also have over 70 Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles. There's a lot to choose from at Hiller Ford. Stop in and find out why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
WTMJ Now.
It's a law enforcement hour every Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Annie Schwartz, law enforcement communications expert, joins us. And our special guest today, Kate Stocks, a local mental health professional. And Annie and I were talking during the break, Kate, about mental health and how it relates to some of the stories like this in Germantown. But here's sort of a big picture question. So we devote a lot of time, hopefully resources, energy, talking about our country's, our children's mental health. So from the perspective of a mental health professional, is it getting better or worse? And if it's getting worse, what are we all missing here?
Well, I'm not sure if you're asking about if there's enough availability of mental health professionals.
That's part of it, certainly.
Okay. I would go out on a limb and suggest we never have enough. I think anybody can benefit from counseling and therapy, whether they've experienced a traumatic event or not. People can also get brief counseling. So anybody who experienced the incident in Germantown can certainly just go for 4 to 6 sessions with a therapist or counselor just to check in. How am I processing this?
Kate, I'm curious to know, 30 years ago is how long we are away from in fact, 30 years this year from the shooting at Wauwatosa West. Can I ask without ripping open or ripping off the scab here, how have you processed that over the years? I'm curious to know. I was telling Steve during the break, I said, full disclosure, you and I are friends. I never knew this. I never knew this. And I'm just wondering how you've processed being so close to something so deadly as a young person.
Well, I think one advantage I had was, like we mentioned, I was a senior in high school. This incident in Germantown affected middle schoolers. Developmentally, there's a big difference between middle schoolers and high schools, and certainly between middle schoolers and somebody who's in their senior year of high school. So there's an emotional and neurological development advantage there. The other, situation too, it didn't happen right away. School was closed for a period of time, so our entire schedule, our entire lives were thrown up in the air for a while. School did not feel safe anymore. And in those times, we didn't have the school doors locked. We didn't have metal detectors. That sort of situation, it was just very different 30 years ago. Processing it just takes a lot of time. As you've mentioned, this was 30 years ago, so I've had a number of times to revisit that experience, process it through different lenses, through my own professional training as well, and come to a place of understanding and still not, there's a difference between understanding and being okay with it, and understanding and still not being okay with it. And both are fine.
Did experiencing that influence your decision to go into counseling? I'm curious to know that.
I think in a longitudinal sense, yes. Simply because any experience that I have that can benefit me as a practitioner with people who are experiencing something else, maybe more traumatic, is advantageous. You can honestly look a patient or client in the eye and say, I know what you're going through.
With this much hindsight, Kate, 30 years, do you have a thought now, maybe at that time you didn't, but do you have a thought now about the media coverage of the incident? Is that something, because I was part of that, and I'm not particularly proud of the coverage that I did as a reporter at that time, interviewing students who had just run out of school. Do you have some thoughts about the media coverage and maybe about what parents are letting their kids consume when these things happen?
I will say that you hit on something really interesting there, in that what I remember when we were finally let out of the school building, because school was on lockdown, hours later, it was dark in the evening when we were let out of school. I remember a blur of television cameras and reporters I might have been avoiding you, not knowing we would be friends later, but avoiding all of that. And I know that I intentionally did not watch the news coverage because I also knew the individual who had shot Mr. Brightlow. So I think for parents, taking a little bit of a sheltering approach, at least initially, as far as news coverage, would be prudent. Let the individuals sit with it for a little bit, especially because these are, like we said before, middle schoolers. They're younger, developmentally more vulnerable.
Yeah, that's great advice from a local mental health professional. Kate Stocks, it's a pleasure to meet you on the phone, and I appreciate you sharing some of your wisdom, both from a real-life perspective all those years ago and then certainly in what you do now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Thank you, Kate. You give great insight and a lot of help for our viewers. Thank you. Our listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kate Stocks joining us. Annie and I will continue the conversation. You can join us. Your thoughts, 855-616-1620. It's the Old National Bank talk and text line. More of WTMJ Now after this.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
For those who just can't wait for Black Friday, head over to Fleet Farm today for great Black Friday Now deals. Like a free battery pack with Milwaukee heated jackets, in-store only, or 40% off all men's Field and Forest flannel. And don't miss our trick-or-treating event on Saturday, October 28th from 10 till noon, with treats for the first 200 kids and gift cards for best costumes. Enjoy Black Friday savings now at Fleet Farm, home of everything you need for everyday life.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. I'm looking for the creepiest tub or shower. My guys at Sidex want to replace your tub or shower. The winner gets a brand new complete tub or shower conversion installed at no cost by Sidex. Up to a $10,000 value. They're doing the conversion in my house. Go to WTMJ.com/contest. Everyone's eligible if you live within 50 miles of Milwaukee. Creepiest tub or shower. You get a brand new one. Send us a picture of your creepiest tub or shower. I'll announce the winner live on Wisconsin's Afternoon News on Halloween.
At Annex Wealth Management, we believe every portfolio tells a story. After all, we've analyzed thousands. Some reflect diligence and fortitude, others a mishmash of overlapping investments. When Annex reviews your portfolio, we spot what works, what might not, and then provide unbiased suggestions free from sales commissions. Every portfolio tells a story. Let's work on yours. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. As a fee-only fiduciary, that's our story. Head to AnnexWealth.com.
October is here, and Griffin dealerships have a spectacular deal just for you. We'll change your oil, check your battery and air filter, inspect and rotate your tires, give your car a complete multi-point inspection, all for $129.95. Worried about your AC or heat? We'll check that too, and we'll even replace your wiper blades. Where quality meets the spirit of October. Don't be spooked by car trouble. Let our expert team take care of your vehicles. Visit Griffin for details. Embrace the magic of the Griffin dealerships today.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Small business owners can make a little of anything go a long way.
It's true. My bakery is made up of a little sugar, spice, and edible glitter.
Well, that's why U.S. Cellular is offering small businesses lines for as little as $19.99, plus $300 off any phone.
That's great. A little does go a long way. Unless we're talking sprinkles, everyone always needs more sprinkles.
Oh, of course. Get lines for $19.99 plus $300 off any phone today. U.S. Cellular. Built for business. Built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
The hilarious off-Broadway hit Tony and Tina's Wedding is returning to Milwaukee for 2 weekends in February. Join Tony and Tina at their wedding ceremony as they tie the knot. Then take your seat for the wildest, wackiest wedding reception you'll ever experience. You can kiss the bride, dance with the groom, and eat delicious Italian food with the family. Get yourself invited to off-Broadway's longest-running interactive comedy ever at the Fitzgerald, February 2nd through the 4th and 8th through the 11th. Tickets available 10 a.m. this Friday at PepsTheaterGroup.com.
It's WTMJ Now.
As she does most Wednesdays, unless she's traveling around the world, Annie Schwartz, law enforcement communications expert. I can't say the word communications apparently today. All right. So let's kind of an overview on what we're talking about. We had the Germantown incidents. Was that Monday nights? It was Monday night, right?
Monday night.
Yes. Yeah. And then we don't have a ton of information other than I'm just reading right from the news account. Individual acting erratically or crazily in the parking lot, climbs on the roof of this school, Kennedy Middle School in Germantown, shoots at officers. They engage him. He is eventually killed. That's kind of all we know.
That's all we know. You know, it occurs to me, Steve, that when I sit here and, talk like I'm so smart about all of these different communications issues, I'm talking about agencies where I used to work. And I really hope the people that I worked with at those agencies don't look at me and say, yeah. Everybody's always so smart when they leave. But I have to tell you that I really do have a good perspective, and I've learned to have a good perspective on these issues because I get to talk to people from all over the country. And one of the media pieces that I saw on Monday after this occurred was reports of an active shooter at a Germantown middle school.
Yeah, I think we all heard that.
That is there anything scarier to hear? Now, it doesn't mean that this wasn't a dangerous situation. Of course it was. But it's hard to blame the media because there was no information coming out. I think the first press release came out at like midnight from the Department of Justice because they're the ones doing the investigation. But it's, an active shooter has to be targeting a location, right, for the purpose of indiscriminate killing. That's not what this guy did, all right? And this is not, this is just a clarification so we think about the words we use when we're talking about these incidents. And you've got parents that are hearing this. Their kids are locked up in the school. Now, granted, a lot of kids can text now because they have their phones in the school. But is there a scarier thing to hear? So, I wish that there would be a little more information sooner that helps calm the situation when it can be calmed. And I realized that I was the guy that worked for the police department that said, we don't have anything. It's early in the investigation. Stop calling me. Stop asking me.
But to that point, calling it something that you don't really know that's what this is yet is also misleading and could be dangerous.
Sure. I mean, guy on a roof of a school shooting at the police with a gun.
Right.
I mean,
describe it as
what do you call that?
Is.
Yeah, that's true.
Now,
that's true.
I do want to say that the law enforcement side of this,
oh man,
tremendous job.
The Germantown police did not waste a second in engaging this guy. If it's a male, I mean, we don't even know that. But they didn't waste any time in engaging him. The reason I wasn't with you last week, Wednesday, I was at the International Association of Chiefs of Police conference. And I'll tell you that this is something that we have been talking about in that group among law enforcement for decades, ever since
What
Columbine.
Specifically?
Speaking about how do we talk during these incidents? What information do we share with the public? Something that I remember one of the chiefs I used to work with always used to say was first reports are always wrong. And initially, it may have appeared that this is what it was because it's sure what it sounded like to me. I don't know any more than anybody else does when these things happen.
The late Steve Hogan, who was the mayor of Aurora, Colorado, once told me, only talk about what you know. Don't speculate. And always, 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 less is more. You don't have to just keep talking. And if you're a police chief or if you're a mayor, if you're any local leader, you don't have to keep talking. You can be concise, you can be brief, and you can actually say what you just said before. This is all we know at this time. We will update you with more information at such and such time. That's actually being a responsive communicator from a leadership perspective. That's good enough in the early stages of this. I think the public is more than understanding that there's an active situation going on. They're going to let you do their job. Our right to know doesn't supersede their right to do their damn jobs.
Right. Well, and there's right to know, but there's also that concern in the community. I mean, how long was it before we knew that the subject had been neutralized, that he was deceased? Again, I have never been a police officer. I always got to say that one, right? But I was the person who had to talk to the officers and say, how do we tell the public about this? When do we tell the public about this? And I think that in this particular case, what did we know for sure? We knew that there was somebody who was up on the roof of a school, but did we know that? I mean, we really did not have any information except for what comes off of the scanners. And I don't read those accounts, but those guys tweet and everything else, or X. They're pulling information off of those sources and reporting it. We hear reports of an active shooter. I'm absolutely sure that somebody on the radio at some point said active shooter at Kennedy Middle School.
So, real quick, 'cause you only have like a minute. So, from a former spokesperson perspective, and from a former journalist perspective, is this a rush by the media to try to get as much as they can and maybe say things they're really not prepared or ready to say yet because based on the information available?
It's hard to fault the media when, and I'm trying to remember what time this shooting happened. I think it was around 6:30 or so.
In the evening.
I mean, it was a good 6 hours before any information came out about it at all. And everything else was, the trench coat in the parking garage with the manila folder, sources, that kind of thing. And I get it because the media have an obligation to their audiences to say, here's what we know. You come to us for information, and now we are giving you what we know. It's listen. This is the toughest thing I do is to balance what the police want to do and their rationale for why they do it, and the media and what they want and need.
We'll probably have a lot more information next Wednesday when Annie Schwartz joins us. Always great to see you. We'll pick it up again next week.
I just love coming here. Thank you, Steve.
I appreciate you coming in. All right, the news is next on WTMJ.
WTMJ Now. Missing the playoffs in 92, some thought it was the... Then in 97.
Packers are going to enjoy the fruit and the Lombardi Trophy.
And in 2011.
The Lombardi Trophy is coming home.
Now with a new soundtrack to the season. It's officially the season of love. Catch Green Bay Game Day, pre and post game, all season long. Right here on WTMJ.
Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy. But right now, you can buy high-end Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hasseless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models. These mattresses are the best, and you can get them for way less. Like the Sealy Posturepedic Glendale Falls Queen was on sale for $955, now just $362. Or the Beautyrest Windsor Isle King was on sale for $2,077, but the floor model is just $623. Plus, save big on a Beautyrest Advanced Motion Adjustable Base. Was $999, now just $377. It's like buying a Rolls Royce for $10,000 just because it sat on the showroom floor. Selection is limited. Only a few floor models are available at each Hasseless location, and when they're gone for good. Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at Hasseless.com.
Gruber Law Offices, serving the people of Wisconsin for over 30 years. Call us today if you've been injured. Gruber Law Offices, a proud partner of the Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
So I came to Advent because I was experiencing recurrent sinus infections. As a new mom, it was really kind of difficult.
Many of our patients complain of sinus infections. The headaches, fatigue, and nasal stuffiness have a profound effect on their lives.
I just felt like your sickness starts affecting your energy level and, the things that you really enjoy doing. That really was a breaking point for me.
So Molly came to Advent. Abnormally tight sinuses and swollen turbinates led to simple breathing triangle solutions that ended up taking about 20 minutes in office. And very soon thereafter, she was breathing freely.
I'm just in awe at the amount of air that that I'm able to breathe in and out each night, and I haven't had a sinus infection since the procedure.
I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. When you breathe well, you do live better.
Results may vary.
Hosting this holiday season? Get your home dressed to impress. Ken Michaels Furniture is having a pre-holiday sale to get your new furniture to you in time. We carry thousands of fabrics, leathers, and wood finishes so you can create a look that's as unique as you are. Order now and wow your holiday guests with personalized furniture. With discounts starting at 30%, you can't beat these deals. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield. Give yourself the gift of beautiful, long-lasting furniture this holiday season. Our pre-holiday sale at Ken Michaels Furniture will ensure that your pieces arrive before the holidays. We're offering 35% off Amish hardwood dining sets in your choice of wood, shape, and finish. Create a holiday table that's ready for your teenager's Instagram. If you order now, you can have the furniture of your dreams by Christmas. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Hey, this is Justin Garcia from WTMJ and the Bucks Radio Network, reminding you to join me tonight for the season preview edition of Bucks Talk. We'll be joined by a handful of NBA insiders as we preview the 2023-24 Bucks Championship campaign. Catch it tonight starting at 6 o'clock on your home of the Bucks, News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
10:01, 64 degrees. The high today, 68. Mostly cloudy and breezy. Most of the rain has moved on. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Eric Bilstead. A break in a cold case out of Menominee Falls, perhaps. We're expecting new details this morning concerning the murders of Diane Olkwitz and Terry Erdman. Now, police in the Falls are holding a news conference today where developments in the cold cases are expected to be revealed. Olkwitz was stabbed more than 100 times back in 1966 at the former Kenworth manufacturing facility in the Falls where she worked. Erdman was discovered stabbed to death in a field on Milwaukee's northwest side back in 1971. Now, in July, Milwaukee detectives used a search warrant to exhume the body of a man who died in 2008 and whose DNA is suspected to match the DNA evidence found at both Erdman and Olkwitz's cases. We expect, again, more details on those cold cases later today. No school today at Kennedy Middle School in Germantown. The rest of the schools in Germantown are back in session. This following a deadly shooting involving police on the roof of the Kennedy Middle School on Monday evening. Still more details expected to be released on that. Meanwhile, we're seeing a 100% increase in officer-involved shootings in the state this year.
In 2016, just 50% of subjects shot by police were armed with a weapon. But this year, Wisconsin Professional Police Association data shows that 100% of subjects shot by police had a gun or a knife on them. Retired Assistant Milwaukee Police Chief Ray Banks tells TMJ4 News.
If an officer feels that there's a threat, an imminent threat in front of him, that's going to trigger that response. It could be a movement, it could be a weapon actually being seen.
The number of officers killed in the line of duty also increasing in Wisconsin, with 4 officers shot in the line of duty this year. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
Questions remain concerning Travis King. He's the U.S. soldier from Racine who jumped the demilitarized zone into North Korea earlier this year. He's now in custody in Texas. His stepfather tells Good Morning America that something doesn't add up.
Something had to have happened to flare him up because the only time Travis he never even hollered, or got angry. He wouldn't, like I say, he wouldn't even step on an ant.
King is facing numerous charges, including desertion. The CDC is issuing a new health alert for medical professionals this week as an RSV vaccine for infants faces a supply shortage. It's leaving hundreds of parents concerned that their children might be at risk as winter weather approaches. ABC's Ariel Reshef.
This is happening just as we are gearing up for RSV season. The CDC issuing that alert for medical professionals to prioritize infants under 6 months or those with underlying health conditions to receive that RSV monoclonal antibody shot due to limited supply. The maker of the new vaccine for infants called Beyfortus says demand is far higher than they expected.
Time now for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Mixed bag on Wall Street at the moment. The Dow is up 46 to 33,187. The Nasdaq is down 155. The S&P is down 23 to 42.24. It's time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Side and Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 10:04.
I thought I was going to have to go through a hip replacement or some painful, unsuccessful surgery or be crippled the rest of my life.
Electrical engineer Dan Vogler had awful arthritic pain in his hips. Pain that not only affected him physically, but also emotionally. And it spilled over even to his relationships.
I was almost mean. If you're in pain and other people don't sympathize with it, you're lashing out at the wrong people.
But then Dan found QC Kinetics. With the latest advances in regenerative medicine, non-surgical treatments with lasting relief.
I felt immediate relief. I mean, within half a day, much of the inflammation and pain was down.
And today, Dan says he's totally pain-free, living the life he wants.
At the end of the 4th treatment, I felt pretty much healed and enthused and was raving about QC Kinetics. I can recommend them highly to anyone.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Team Pella executing incredible plays. Products with limited lifetime warranties. Amazing innovations. Blinds and shades between the glass. Stylish windows with hidden screens that make game days a breeze. Installation completed in as little as a day, leaving no mess or hassle. Just perfect results. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com. 6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 10/31/23.
Matt had just moved into his first apartment and needed furniture to fill it, but he didn't have a big credit line. So I told him about St. Vincent de Paul. There's always a nice selection of gently used furniture there, and sometimes you can find some really cool retro pieces. And the best part is, it's always super affordable. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores for first-time furniture buyers or anyone looking for great deals on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
The Bucks will get their season underway on Thursday with their newly extended MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo ready to lead the way. After signing that 3-year, $186 million extension on Monday, Giannis addressed the media post-practice on Tuesday for the first time since pen hit the paper.
I want to be here. There's no secret in that. Everybody knows that. Like, I stress a lot of people out, you know, and I don't want to be the reason that a lot of people are stressed out, because my life is really stressed out, and I know how I feel.
Over to baseball, where the World Series is set after the Arizona Diamondbacks won Game 7 by a final score of 4-2 over the Philadelphia Phillies. They'll now head down to Texas to take on the Rangers. Game 1 is scheduled for Friday night. And lastly, the NBA season tipped off on Tuesday night. The reigning champs, the Denver Nuggets, beating the LeBron-led Lakers by a final of 119-107, and the Suns outlasting the Warriors 108-104. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Checking the WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Heads up 94 northbound. Right around National Avenue before you get to the Marquette. The right shoulder blocked there because of a disabled vehicle. So a couple of crews on the scene there. You should be fine just getting through that area, but just be mindful that you got some cars in the roadways there on the right-hand side. 94 eastbound looking good from Highway 16 all the way into downtown. On time, that's a 17-minute trip.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
Help fellow commuters. See an accident? Call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line, 414-238-9329. Visit Hall Mazda to support their Drive Out Cancer event.
WTMJ 5-day forecast. Cloudy and breezy today, a high of 68. Most of the rain is behind us now. Tonight, a chance for showers or maybe even a storm, a low of 60. For Thursday, rain in the morning, otherwise scattered showers and storms, a high of 68. Friday, slight chance for rain, otherwise mild, a high of 68. Saturday, sunny and cooler, a high of 51 on Saturday. Sunday, a chance for rain again and a high of 47. Right now, in Milwaukee, 64 degrees. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
It's WTMJ Now. News, opinions, Wisconsin. Everything you need to know in the Badger State and beyond. Here's your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Sandy Max.
And good morning, everybody. Yes, that is me, Steve Scaffidi, on this Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, if you still use that term. So all eyes on the nominee for Speaker of the House. This now 3-week adventure for Republicans. To do the simple work is just getting a speaker. Then the real work starts, the people's work, really. Deciding, issues like the budgets, resolutions for funding, war zones like Ukraine and the Middle East. Who is Mike Johnson? Well, he's Louisiana. No, he's a North Carolinian, I believe. GOP Deputy Whip, Vice Chairman of the House Republican Conference, attorney, and somebody who, and this is going to set up a quick clip. It's like a very short clip I'm going to play in a second, who voted to sustain the objection to electoral votes on January 6, 2021. He also, along with another group of GOP lawmakers, was a part of the Donald Trump impeachment team defending Donald Trump. Also sent an email from his personal email accounts in 2020 to every House Republican soliciting signatures for an amicus brief in the long shot Texas lawsuit, which, as we all remember, tried to invalidate the electoral college votes from multiple states, including those of Wisconsin. That's Mike Johnson in a nutshell. Now, as we speak, there will be a vote very shortly happening in the U.S. House of Representatives. I have no idea whether he has the 217 votes he needs to win that position. But here's a couple things. One of them is a little bit dated, but I'm a big fan of Scott McFarland, and you hear his work on our station occasionally. That's the second clip. The first clip is a very short clip. This is Mike Johnson meeting the media last night. You got to listen very carefully because they ask him a question about election denial, and the response, my opinion, is very telling.
Mr. Johnson, you helped lead the efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. Will you
Next question. Next question.
It's a big joke, apparently, to Mike Johnson and the assembled collection of Republican lawmakers from the House last night. Couldn't even answer the question. Next question. As if the most significant challenge to our democracy wasn't important enough to at least address the question. And just so we're all clear on where I stand on this, we are getting, this is the fourth speaker nominee that they're going to be voting on since McCarthy was removed, Kevin McCarthy. It's now the fourth nominee, and this one is an election denier. Worked on behalf of election denying, and as we've all learned, almost to the point of ad nauseum, that the cases against the former president and many of the people allied with the president, racketeering, election interference, many other smaller, less significant charges. It's a pretty high stack when you get down to it. So this is kind of a little bit of a dated piece, but Scott McFarland did this a couple days ago, and you can see his work on Twitter, the X as it's now called. And it kind of sums up some of the feeling that I had about this issue. So I want to play it for you now. It's about 2 minutes long, so give it a listen.
Hey, it's Scott McFarland. So if you're putting together a resume for a big new job, what do you include? How far back do you go? Because the candidates running to be the next U.S. Speaker of the House, second in line to the presidency, may have to talk about what happened nearly 3 years ago. Were they part of the group that tried to reject the electors in the 2020 election? Did they try to decertify that election? Because of the 9 candidates so far, all of whom are men, all of whom are part of that conservative Republican study committee, 7 of the 9 voted to decertify the election. And over the course of this weekend, one of the 2 who didn't, Tom Emmer, Republican whip from Minnesota, has been taking some heat from some Trump loyalists, like Steve Bannon, who called him a Trump hater, indicating that this, nearly 1,100 days later, is still an issue, a pivotal issue, in a Republican vote, in a Republican election. So, perhaps no surprise, Team Tom Emmer is pushing back hard at this, saying that Emmer endorsed Trump in 2016 and 2020, was among the first to do so, that they've been doing outreach to MAGA world through this weekend as they try to lock down the necessary support to win the speakership. But to be clear, when Jim Jordan was the candidate for Republicans to be Speaker, he also continued to raise rhetorical questions about 2020, saying there were things he was concerned about the election, this issue, these baseless election claims, and this type of what Democrats call election denialism remains vibrant, not just here at the Capitol, but down at the court. where January 6 defendants are having their cases closed, one of whom recently was sentenced by the judge. And as he walked out of the courtroom, said, Trump won. It's still an issue. It's still a thing.
Scott McFarland there, who has been on the show. He was on a couple of weeks ago. So this is where we're going to start this conversation. We are looking at a potential here now, and this is if Mike Johnson gets enough votes. I have no idea, and I don't think anybody does. Anybody that's on TV or radio or anybody that does what I do for a living has any idea if he's going to get enough votes. I would say he'll probably fall just short, and then there'll be some back and forth to see if they can get him there. Who knows? I know that one of our congressmen from Wisconsin is not even in the House. Derek Van Orden is, I think, still in Israel or on his way back. So that's the reality that we face. An election denier, not my term, but one that I enthusiastically endorse, an election denier could be the Speaker of the House, second in line to the President of the United States. Anybody else think that's dangerous? Somebody who last night laughed off a question about his supports of election denying with some crazy representative shouting out, shut up to reporters. This is all part of the same problem. Disrespect to reporters. So no questions, fair game. It's the fake news thing, right? That the former president played that so brilliantly, building his support because now it's destroyed the credibility of media. And some of it earned, let's be honest. I've criticized them as well. 855-616-1620. Are you prepared to have an election denier be the Speaker of the House, second in line to the President? That's what we're talking about here. Dangerous time in America with a former president facing multiple indictments for his role in all of this. And once again, I understand the motivation of some Republicans to say, I'm not thinking about 2020, I'm moving forward. When crimes potentially are committed, those are worth considering. Those are worth going after, and that process has started now. And the two words that I heard, and I hear this a lot, I listen to a lot of talk radio here and elsewhere in the country, and the new clever thing, remember it was Trump derangement syndrome, now it's Trump hater. You'll hear that term used a lot by talking heads, squawking heads, and people who are trying to make a point about Trump. Trump haters. Just because you want to go away and move away from an uncomfortable subject, election 2020, January 6th, 2021, doesn't mean they should go away. And the last piece before I go to break, I can understand the unwillingness to talk about it. But the silence from some people in the Republican Party that I respect on this issue is damning and shameful. My words. 855-616-1620. More after this on WTMJ.
More of WTMJ now after this. Your way inside the huddle.
Hut one, hut two.
Without putting on any pads.
Hi.
It's Green and Gold Insiders on Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
No one's going to feel sorry for you. Matt LaFleur likes to tell us that all the time. No one's going to say, oh, well, these poor guys, they have all these rookies. We're going to take it easy on them. Nobody's going to do that.
Every day of the regular season at 4:15, it's Green and Gold Insiders all season long, right here on WTMJ.
This is Brad Yumbert with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. There's a lot of fluff around window sales, but what really matters is the type of people you choose to have working for you. That's why I want to highlight Semper Fi's own CJ Callies. He's been selling, measuring, installing, and managing window installations for 35 plus years. He has a depth of knowledge that allows him to see problems before they happen, and I swear, I think the guy can see behind walls. He's easy to work with, and I can't think of a customer who hasn't liked working with him, and he really is the kind of guy you're going to want on your job. CJ's in charge of our entire window and door division, and you can be assured he's going to have his hands on your project. Most companies focus on the product. At Semper Fi, we focus on our people and you, and that's never let us down. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Your love isn't confined to an advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we can love beyond Christmas. Donate today to support local families all year long at samilwaukee.org.
At Annex Wealth Management, we believe every portfolio tells a story. After all, we've analyzed thousands. Some reflect diligence and fortitude, others a mishmash of overlapping investments. When Annex reviews your portfolio, we spot what works, what might not, and then provide unbiased suggestions free from sales commissions. Every portfolio tells a story. Let's work on yours. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. As a fee-only fiduciary, that's our story. Head to annexwealth.com.
It's WTMJ Now.
All eyes on the U.S. House as they attempt to pick a Speaker of the House, second in line of the U.S. President. Mike Johnson, the designated nominee today. We'll see if he has the 217 needed to win that seat. I would guess no, but a lot of wrangling going on in the halls and the closed rooms of Congress to get there. Let's go to the phone lines. Dave, first up from Deerfield. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Good. What do you think?
Well, and I totally understand your point, but also lost in the fact is Hakeem Jeffries is also an election denier. He thought Donald Trump was an illegitimate president in 2016.
Also wrong.
And that's not getting too much news.
Well, we just said it out loud on the radio. That's also the wrong thing to say because Donald Trump won that election fairly and squarely.
Right. I'm sorry. I must have missed that you said that. I just got in my car, so.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, it seems like, and I agree with you about Mike Johnson. They just need to get their stuff together.
They do. Thanks for using the word stuff, Dave. I appreciate it there because I was a little worried for a second. Look, this isn't hard, folks. Not hard. Not heavy lifting. This is supposed to be the easy parts. What's happened in Congress over the last, pick a number, the hyper-partisanship has made everything so difficult. Getting judges elected, not putting judges up for election, withholding votes for important positions in government because you're mad that you don't have the majority, or whatever it is. All the lunacy that passes for leadership on both the left and right. The AOCs, Ilhan Omar's, kooky left-wing Democrats, kooky right-wing Republicans, Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG. There's a growing sentiment, and I know people think that maybe I'm just saying this, but trust me, this is real. I talked to a lot of Republican strategists, not just Bill McCoshen, a lot of other ones away from the show. A lot of elected leaders who they don't want to say it out loud on the air, but there's a growing sense in the suburbs of Wisconsin and the suburbs of America that they're sick and tired of this nonsense. They're sick and tired of hearing a former president pretend 2020 didn't happen. And they don't want to see 4 more years of this stuff. Rome joins us on the phone lines. Hey, Rome. Happy Wednesday.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call. I'm feeling some kind of way this morning because I realize now how urgent this situation is. If, in fact, Mike Johnson becomes the speaker, then we're going to be right back to where we were with, Trump still making all the calls. What I would like to do is challenge our Republican counterparts to look deep in their heart and think in terms of what direction we're going in, and you will find that it's the wrong direction. And I don't know how, on a daily basis, they can continue to support people that are, for the insurrectionists, that are for Donald Trump after we've seen all the things that he's done. And I just wonder, what kind of Christians, what kind of people, can continue to support a person as such.
Thanks for the call, Rome. It's this motivation. I've talked about this before, and people get mad at me when I say it. It's hard to admit you're wrong about somebody or something. It's really hard to do. No one likes to. And I think that's Donald Trump. Now, there will be, at some points, consequences for Donald Trump. he's probably going to lose some of the cases that are looming out there in 2024 that he will be a part of, one already ongoing. Now, the amazing thing is that doesn't seem to shape any of his support. Again, as I said yesterday, polling supports and voting support, two radically different things. From the 920 on the Old National Bank talking text line, you can join us as well, 855-616-1620. We should demand a reset in Congress. Fire them all. Vote every congressman or woman out of office and start over. The patients are running the asylum now. God help us. Yeah. What is it that I've seen about 1 million different versions of this? Republicans always complaining about how bad government is. And then I'm watching the race for speaker. Are you trying to prove that point? Or what are you actually doing there? Because you're sort of confirming that by your behavior, and you're supposed to be the ones that are arguing for better government. At least last time I checked. From the 201, thanks for long distance listen. We are sick and tired of it. These people are embarrassing. Diane, MAGA is a cult. It's not as simple as political views. It's the only way to rationalize the worship of an absolute idiot. From the 414, America looks incompetent to the world. Here's one from Wendy. Anyone who has voted and still believes Trump won should not be happening. And shame on those that voted yes. And maybe those that voted yes should be voted out. At some point, we need to move forward, not keep burping up that bad Trump meal. Interesting way to put that. It's a time that requires adults. It's a time that requires common sense. And I will indict those Republicans, whether it's smart people that I know on social media, smart people I know from work, away from work, whatever it is. If you don't speak on this because it embarrasses your or our party, you're part of the problem. The way this appears that this is going to shaking out, and I know that Jeff Wagner was talking about this yesterday on his program, which I listened to almost in its entirety. Great radio. He doesn't think that either one of these two men, Biden or Trump, will be the nominees. Now, I disagree with him on that. I think one will for sure. And we can go back and forth on who that might be. But winning the nomination is not winning the general election. And Republicans, my opinion, are setting themselves up for, if it's Trump, the worst beatdown we've seen in maybe generations, certainly years. There's about 30-35% of the country that loves Donald Trump. That generally won't win a general election. Still time to get in. 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank talking text line. Are we setting ourselves up here with a speaker designee, potentially the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who has supported efforts to overturn the 2020 election? And that person, if he gets 217, number of votes he needs to be Speaker, is second in line to the U.S. presidency. Is that a concern for you? I'll answer my own question. Yes. More after this.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
Wake up with me. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:15 for Matzik's Morning Minute during Wisconsin's Morning News. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams in just 60 seconds.
It's a true test to all of us, but I do believe in the guys in that locker room in terms of the character that we have.
Every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News.
Lopez squeezes up a three, rattles another one through. Oh, it's contagious.
Sponsored by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. For Advent, I've told you about it. Tossing and turning, restless nights of sleep, waking up tired. No longer. I did something about it. I went to Advent, one of their great facilities. They're great docs. In a quick 30-minute visit, that's all it took. They put me at ease, determined my problem, sinuses, nasal passages. We added in a little more research, a little more work, simple sleep study at home. All that led to a diagnosis and a short procedure done in one of their offices. I'm back to breathing well. Last night, went to bed early, slept all night. Great night's sleep, feeling rested and refreshed. That can be you. If you're struggling like I did and we did, if you're talking about my wife, Kathy, who had to deal with my tossing and turning, if you struggle like I did, take the time to find out how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to AdventKnows.com and schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
R&R Insurance does an exceptional job of providing employee benefits to all of us here at Good Karma Brands. Companies are starting to plan for fall enrollment for their workforce. Here's Jeff Salasinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Thanks, Vince. A benefit understood is a benefit appreciated. Knowing how to best communicate your benefits will help your employees understand their options, guide their decision-making, and increase their sense of value and engagement. In this tight labor market, businesses need to know how to use their benefit program to attract and retain employees.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
At R&R Insurance, we help employers brand their benefit packages in a customized, easy-to-understand fashion, taking out the complex and confusing nature of shopping for health insurance. With our latest mobile technology, your employees will have easy, immediate access to benefit information for themselves and their families 24/7. At R&R Insurance, we know employee benefits.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
WTMJ Now.
Lots of folks weighed in on my question. Are you a little uncomfortable, a little uneasy about the fact that we may elect a Speaker of the House? And may is the word because that hasn't happened yet. There's the House is to hold that vote at some point this morning. And as soon as I know anything, and I've got about 4 monitors that are going to be paying attention to that story, we will certainly update you. Just a little more text, then we got to get to break again because I was a little slow on my first break. There's a lot of different opinions on this, and I respect that. I heard a caller on Jeff's show yesterday saying he's okay with whatever Trump does or has done because of his policy. I get that. That's why, like I said, 35% of the population still supports him. They like the conservative court. I do too. They like the fact that he actually did something about tax policy. I supported that, and I said it at the time. He was tougher on the border. But he also did things on the border that I didn't support, which is the separation of families, which I think even he in his a quiet moment, if he ever has one, would probably admit was probably a misfire. And his adoration, this is the one that gets me, this is the dangerous one, his adoration of dictators around the world, North Korea, Russia, even in some ways threw out some compliments to some of the terrorist groups in the world. So, that stuff's dangerous. That's real stuff. From the 414, how about this idea? Why don't we quit referring to everybody by their party designation and talk about getting something done, period? I think from your position, you could be the leader in that idea. I did it tongue-in-cheek, but I advocated for removing political designations off of ballots. Make people, where's my bell? I don't have a bell anymore. I used to have a bell in here. Make people actually think about who they're voting for. And I'll say this again. This one really gets people mad because I get emails about it. You can always email me at steve.scaffidi2fs1d@wtmj.com. If you go into the polling place every election and just vote by party, I apologize for hurting your feelings, but that's lazy. There was a time when you could actually make that distinction, I think. It's so muddled now, and I do think that at some point the Republican Party is going to fracture to whether it's a Trump wing or, as I said on social media last night, the crazy wing of the party, and then everybody else who just wants to get work done from a less government perspective. See, that's the thing that drives me nuts. The less government thing is actually a good idea, in my opinion. But it's been mucked up with all the nonsense of Trump. And if you think that this style of muckraking, bombastic, anti-intellectual speech-making by whether it's a former president or somebody else is somehow a goal of leadership or a goal of politics, I'll take issue with you on that. 855-616-161. I'm going to shift gears after the break, but I wanted to read this one from John, to you. Good morning. I think a moderate, reasonable, and realistic thinking Republican is needed immediately to bring this country and our nation back. No extremist on either side, one that is skilled in negotiation and represents their constituents, not the party. That's John in Bayview. I think that's smart. You don't have to be a crazy person to be an elected official. We have somehow reality TV'd the characteristics of our elected officials to the point where they care more about being on TV and radio than they do on actually doing their job. That's not a good development. All right, we're going to move on. What are we going to talk about next? I'm going to surprise you, but it's not going to be politics. After this, on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
We all have someone we know or love that has been affected by some form of cancer.
No matter how well you love and support them and try to be there for them, you can never really know what a person is feeling after hearing the words, "You have breast cancer."
Only another person that has been through this experience can really understand what it feels like.
ABCD, After Breast Cancer Diagnosis, is a Milwaukee-based organization known around the world.
When someone calls ABCD, they are matched with a mentor who is a breast cancer survivor of similar age and has the same type of breast cancer who can provide hope when people need it the most.
Kessler's is excited to announce that we've designed 3 new Hope pendants to honor breast cancer patients, survivors, thrivers, and caregivers.
100% of the net proceeds, along with an additional donation from Kessler's, will support ABCD when you purchase the symbol of hope.
You can find a link with more information about ABCD, along with all 3 modern designs starting at just $75 in sterling silver and $598 in gold, online at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam. And Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
It's WTMJ Now.
All right, I'm going to switch topics in a second here, but Karen was very patient from West Dallas, so I'm going to get her on the air. Hi, Karen. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. What do you think?
I think it's insane. I think this insanity has to stop. I said, I'm in my 70s, so I've been voting a long time. And I think, to your comment just a few minutes ago, I wasn't necessarily along party lines so much as who was running and what they stood for. Mm-hmm. So I have voted for both parties. I have not been, a real staunch one way or the other. But I'm sorry, but the Republican Party is making idiots of themselves right now. I don't know what happened. I can't believe as many people still are afraid of Trump. He's one person,
It is kind of amazing when you think about it, that fear of that person is so much of a motivator to act like a fool, say really crazy, often inaccurate things out loud in front of TV cameras. It is stunning and startling and maybe not as surprising as we would all hope.
Well, what happened to all the educated people in this country, though?
That's a good question.
I really wonder what happened. And unfortunately, some of the people I admire most are getting out of politics, or at least, are moving on from their positions, and it's sad to see.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Karen. I really appreciate it. And I think Karen speaks for a lot of people. Witnessing this, I get to talk about it most days. It is... there's like no end to the absurdity or crazy in our world. No end. It's just, there's no limits. We have a former president. Remember when the job had decorum and class? Then the Clinton thing happened, and that sort of dumb that down, somebody doing what he did in the adjacent bathroom of the Oval Office. And, that's the start of this. That was the rise of talk radio, talking about that endlessly ad nauseum for decades. And all the other things that have happened since, obviously the Trump presidency, the former president yesterday, again, going on Truth Social and acting like a high school kid who's mad about his girlfriend breaking up with him. But in this case, it's Donald Trump mad about the country wants to break up with him, most people. I think that's correct. And can't deal with that reality. Saying just absurd, insane things for a president to say that. Treating classified documents like they're his property. Like he's got an endless supply of scratch paper at Mar-a-Lago. You flip it over and it's the nuclear secrets of one of our allies. It's like, oh, I'll write my doctor's appointment on the back of this thing that says top secret for your eyes only. That level of absurdity is the norm. And we just treat it like it's the norm now. And actual people go on the radio and defend that stuff under the guise of, you're all just Trump haters. How about we're haters of nonsense? We're haters of absurdity. Haters of the dumbing down of America. How about we just say that? All right, I'm going to tee this up, and then we can get what you want to say about it in a second here. So I haven't seen the movie yet, but if you haven't seen this, and there's like two big things happening at the same time, right? The Eras movie with Taylor Swift doing very well at the box office. No surprise. I could have predicted that. And the other one is a movie called Killers of the Flower Moon. It's about the massacre of Osage Indians in the 1920s. Stars Lily Gladstone, Robert De Niro, Leonard DiCaprio, and it's a Martin Scorsese film, Killers of the Flower Moon. Here's the part that I want to talk about. It's almost 4 hours long. It's a simple question for me. Should a movie in a theater be 4 hours long? That's a long time to sit. I don't know, and I'm a guy that can go a while without having to get up and go to the bathroom in a movie, but that would challenge me because I can guarantee you, me and probably most people that go to the theater are going to have a tub of popcorn and a soda at some point, or juice or water, whatever. Should a movie be that long? Or maybe just do the first part and the second part, or maybe put it right on streaming so we can pause it when we want to, but you can't pause a theater movie. Simple question, 855-616-1620. You can text if you want. Should a movie be 4 hours long in a theater? I say no. That's crazy. I'm actually going to Google up in the break here when the last movie that was sort of popular had that sort of a length to it, 4 hours long. I say it's crazy. No way a movie should be 4 hours in a theater. What do you say? 855-616-1620. A little diversion from politics. I'm sure we'll get back to it at some point. On the WTMJ Now program, thanks for listening. As always, you can find us over the air, online, WTMJ.com, wherever you get your podcasts, and YouTube. Just Google the show, and you'll find us. More after this.
WTMJ Now.
At Semper Fi, we wholeheartedly believe that our reputation is everything. And around the office and work sites, I like to say that our reputation is like the little campfire we all huddle around for life. And every time we produce a project, we all have to take a little piece of that fire, and it's our responsibility to keep it going. Every time we keep a promise, it fuels the fire. Every time we deliver on an expectation, it fuels the fire. We started out as a mom-and-pop roofing shop, and the reputation we've built and our commitment to it has made us into the company we are today. I've found that people really value a company that truly cares about their reputation, and I know that it attracts the kind of like-minded individuals that we're proud to have on our team. At Semper Fi, we work hard not to tarnish our reputation, and that's what will make your decision to work with us one you won't regret. We're Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, and you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Small business owners can make a little of anything go a long way.
It's true. My bakery is made up of a little sugar, spice, and edible glitter.
Well, that's why U.S. Cellular is offering small businesses lines for as little as $19.99, plus $300 off any phone.
That's great. A little does go a long way. Unless we're talking sprinkles, everyone always needs more sprinkles.
Oh, of course. Get lines for $19.99 plus $300 off any phone today. U.S. Cellular. Built for business. Built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
James Imaging Systems, your local document imaging partner. JamesImaging.com.
Your love isn't confined to an advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we can love beyond Christmas. Donate today to support local families all year long at samilwaukee.org.
October is here, and Griffin dealerships have a spectacular deal just for you. We'll change your oil, check your battery and air filter, inspect and rotate your tires, give your car a complete multi-point inspection, all for $129.95. Worried about your AC or heat? We'll check that too, and we'll even replace your wiper blades. Where quality meets the spirit of October. Don't be spooked by car trouble. Let our expert team take care of your vehicles. Visit Griffin for details. Embrace the magic of the Griffin dealerships today.
WTMJ Now.
Does your shower tub look like the setting of a creepy horror movie? Just talking about movies. We are talking about movies. Dingy, moldy, gross, out of dates. Maybe just plain creepy. How about just old, right? Then you've got to sign up for the Side X Creepiest Shower Contest. Take a picture of your nightmare of a bathtub or shower. Upload it to our website on WTMJ.com. Be entered to win a free tub or shower conversion upgrade. Get this, of up to $10,000 installed absolutely free. No cost to you. Here's how to do it. Text the word SIDEX. SIDEX. One more time. SIDEX to the Old National Bank talking text line 855-616-1620. Upload that picture and show us your creepy shower space. Submissions open until October 27th, which I think is Friday, if I'm looking at the calendar correctly. So get entered to finally fix up your creepy shower space. SIDEX, SIDEX, 855-616-1620. Our movie's too long. Now, somebody on the text line reminded me that the last Martin Scorsese film, The Irishman, was like 3.5 hours. Apparently, he's forgotten how to edit movies or doesn't care anymore. And I watched The Irishman. I watched it at home because it was also streamed on Netflix. I'm not aware that the Osage movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, I think that's the right title, right, is available on streaming service. So you got to suck it up and sit there for 3+ hours, almost 4 hours. Don joins us from the South Side. Hi, Don. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday.
Hi, Steve. Yeah, I was mentioning that in the past, I did see a movie before. I believe it was either Empire of the Sun with Christian Bale, or it might have been The Mission with Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons. Those were also very long movies, and they had a scheduled intermission in the middle.
See, that's what I'm saying. There should be an intermission, right?
Correct.
You get up,
Yeah,
you
for
stretch
like
a little bit.
Yeah, then you came back and you saw the rest of the movie. You didn't miss nothing.
Yeah.
Or you didn't have to stand in line.
Yeah.
And that worked out really great.
Yeah.
They were both great movies. I think they're both Steven Spielberg movies, too.
Yeah, Empire of the Sun. Yes,
And,
definitely that was a good movie. I've seen that. Yeah, it's too long. It's too long. I can't sit that long, Don.
Oh, exactly. They just need to have it understood there will be an intermission of a half hour.
All right. I'm doing a public service, Don. I'm gonna convince movie theaters, movie operators, and the film industry to have a scheduled intermission. You think we'll win that argument?
Like you said, you can't sit that long. 4 hours.
That's right. I cannot sit that
getting
long.
up and moving.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Don. Calling from the South Side. I just don't want to sit there for 4 hours. At home, I can pause it. I can go make some fresh popcorn. I can go make a sandwich. I can get a fresh soda. I can go to the bathroom, and then I can sit down and then start the movie again. Am I wrong on this?
I don't think so. Could you imagine if they released the Snyder cut of Justice League in theaters? That was like a 5-hour movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, but if it's 5 hours, you got to have an intermission.
You need probably 2.
Yeah, that's insane. A lot of texters agree with me on this. John from Bayview says, I saw My Fair Lady and Ben-Hur in the cinema when they came out. There was an intermission in both. That used to be a thing. When I was a kid and a young adult, there was intermissions for these kind of movies. And these movies were like 3 hours, not almost 4 hours. Somebody says also, if you figure the trailers, that's like 15 minutes too, which I love. I know some people don't like the trailers. I love watching the trailers because here's how I use them. I don't go to a ton of movies at theaters. Hope Greg Marcus isn't listening, but I do enjoy the theater experience, especially at Marcus Theaters. And I love their popcorn, by the way, too. And I'm waiting for a nice bag of popcorn from Greg Marcus because he promised me one last time he was here. But set that aside. I think that if a movie is more than 3 hours, a scheduled intermission. Now, here's what it does for the theater operators. I get this. It makes it harder to schedule all the films you need to schedule to make money. I get that. Right? So you're delaying the next one and the next one after that. Dennis has actually seen the movie, so Dennis is going to fill us in, also from the South Side. Hi, Dennis.
Hi, thanks for taking my call today, Steve. You know, it's interesting. I sat through the movie, and I'm not going to lie. I had to get up twice to go to the bathroom, but then again, I'm in my late 60s.
So you missed part of the movie.
Once I got to get up once for a 2-hour movie. So that to me that's not an issue really big. I had somebody with me, and we kind of took turns and would fill each other in as we would have to leave. But I'll tell you this: sitting through that entire movie, when we got up to leave, I turned to my son and I said, "That wasn't 4 hours." And he goes, "Yeah, Dad, it was," because the movie was just that engaging that. It really didn't feel like 4 hours.
Are you giving us the Dennis really thumbs up on the movie?
I would definitely give you the thumbs up. It's not unlike The Sounds of Freedom. It's a hard subject to deal with. It's a hard story to deal with, but it's one that needed to be told, and it was done very, very well.
All right, Dennis from the South Side giving not just his thoughts on the length of the film, but also his review of the film, which I have not seen, but which I would like to see. This is a constant couples challenge, right? Like, I would like to see it, but my wife, Kathy, probably doesn't want to see it. So what do? I give in, and I'll have to watch it when it comes out on streaming services, which is probably going to be, a year, 6 months? Got a lot of text on this. We'll wrap the conversation after the break on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Hi, there is an accident on I-43 northbound.
Call me, Debbie Lazaga, at thehallmazda.com traffic tip line at 414-238-9329.
Hi, Debbie. It's Michael. Just drove through the area of 894 West. There's debris in the roadway.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it?
I'm sitting here at I-43 north of Silver Spring at the parking lot.
Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
Do the changing seasons have you dreaming of that perfect sun-kissed getaway? From the Caribbean and Mexico to Hawaii or Florida, Fox World Travel's expert travel advisors can recommend their favorite beach resorts with Apple Vacations or island-hopping cruises with Princess Cruises and Royal Caribbean. What are you waiting for? Don't miss out on the best savings of the season. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO. There are memories to be made, and Fox has the expertise to get you there.
For those who just can't wait for Black Friday, head over to Fleet Farm today for great Black Friday Now deals. Like a free battery pack with Milwaukee heated jackets, in-store only. Or 40% off all men's Field and Forest flannel. And don't miss our trick-or-treating event on Saturday, October 28th from 10 till noon. With treats for the first 200 kids and gift cards for best costumes. Enjoy Black Friday savings now at Fleet Farm, home of everything you need for everyday life.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Do you hear that hissing sound? I think it's the sound of some steam being let out of the fall housing market. As the average 30-year fixed rate has crept toward 8%, some buyers have taken a break. Homes aren't selling on the first weekend anymore. Some are still selling over asking, but fewer and by not as much. Some sellers are even willing to chip in toward buyer closing costs to get their asking price. Now, do you hear that knocking sound? That's opportunity. Opportunity for well-prepared home shoppers. This dip in home buyer demand is not going to last, and mortgage rates are forecast to dip next year. Here's the best part. AccuNet can show you how to use a seller closing cost credit to lower your monthly payment by $100 or maybe even $200 a month for the first year or two while we wait for the refi window of opportunity to open, which we can typically accomplish with no loan costs. It's your choice, fear or opportunity. Click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com and become a confident, opportunistic, rock-solid home shopper. That's ACCUNET.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. WTMJ Now.
Oh, hear that brass? Hear that trumpet? I used to play that song, believe it or not. Chicago's coming back. Well, not really, but this year. But next year, how about the band Chicago? One of the greatest and most important bands of rock and roll history. The iconic horn section you're listening to right now, hot off their release of their 2022 album, Born for This Moment, which I have not heard. Chicago's coming to the Riverside Theater next year on June 1st. So you got plenty of time to get ready. And you have a chance right now. I see the phone lines already heating up, and I didn't even give out the number, 855-616-1620. You must all have it on speed dial. Good on you. All right, so I'm going to go caller number 9 today. Caller number 9 to 855-616-1620. Caller number 9 will win a pair of tickets. 2 more chances to win the great band Chicago, who I've seen many times and always put on a great show, and the sound is incredible. I might even be at that show. That's how much excitement I have about that. I always forget that not everybody gets the whole conversation. So somebody asked on the text line, what movie were we talking about? Killers of the Flower Moon, the new Scorsese, DiCaprio, De Niro film about the slaughter of Osage Indians in the 1920s. And caller just said, great film. And I think most of the texters rather agree with me on the question. We'd like to see intermissions on movies that are this long. It makes it easier. I think it was Dennis, or the caller, had to leave twice to go to the bathroom and restock the popcorn. And I get theaters, it's a tough juggling act, right? You want to get as many showings during the day as you can. But I would also think they would benefit from the sales of more popcorn, or refreshing the popcorn, or getting more soda, or licorice. What's the other ones? Raisinets, Goobers, when those were a thing. That's the thing that I don't get. So are they going to figure it out? I don't know, but I'm not going to sit for 4 hours to watch a movie. So I will probably wait and stream it at home on Netflix or whatever streaming service it's on. Because I did that with The Irishman, and I actually enjoyed the film, but I could pause it and do all the same things that an intermission would allow me to do in a theater. So most people on the same page on this one. From the 262, remember the Titanic? I bought that on VHS, and it was 2 tapes long. Had intermission during the theater showing. Yeah, that's what they used to do. And I'll talk to my buddy Greg Marcus at some point, and we'll get him on the show, and we'll ask him that question. And the popcorn question. Where's my popcorn? All right, after the break. It's one of my favorite hours of the week. It's a simple hour with a simple question. Ask Steve anything. Any question, fair game. Any topic, any subject. You direct the show. All on you. I do my best to answer. That's all coming up after the news, which is next.
More of WTMJ Now after this.
It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Hey, this is Justin Garcia from WTMJ and the Bucks Radio Network, reminding you to join me tonight for the season preview edition of Bucks Talk. We'll be joined by a handful of NBA insiders as we preview the 2023-24 Bucks Championship campaign. Catch it tonight starting at 6 o'clock on your home of the Bucks, News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
At 11 o'clock, it is 66 degrees. The high today, 68 and cloudy. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Eric Bilstad. We start in Washington, D.C., where a crucial test on a House Speaker vote will soon occur. The House has been without a Speaker since October 3rd. After days of debate, Republicans have chose a fourth nominee, their second that date alone, who will hold the Speaker's gavel. Will he survive the vote later this morning?
Likening House Republicans' internal struggles to choose a Speaker to civil war, House Democratic Whip Catherine Clark slamming the party, saying it's choosing Donald Trump over freedom, democracy, and bipartisanship in a social media post. That reaction coming as Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson emerged as House Republicans' fourth nominee for Speaker Tuesday. Johnson, who has earned praise from former President Trump, was among 147 Republicans who voted to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Johnson does expect to win on a first Speaker vote that should take place again later this morning. Meanwhile, the family of Travis King, a U.S. soldier from Racine, says their son hasn't shared with them what happened when he was detained in North Korea after running across the demilitarized zone this past summer. Claudine Gates telling Good Morning America that they still don't know much about what Travis's time behind bars was like when it was overseas.
Have you all asked him, what happened while you were there in North Korea?
When we asked him, he said that he couldn't tell us what happened. He told me that the Army told him that he can't tell anybody, that he had signed the agreement with them.
King is facing numerous charges, including desertion, along with assaulting fellow soldiers. Kennedy Middle School in Germantown is again closed today. This as police investigate a deadly officer shooting. A man with what appears to be no connection to the school was shot and killed after climbing onto the roof Monday evening. There were nearly 70 students in the school at the time. That shooting was the 28th police-involved shooting this year in Wisconsin.
Officer-involved shootings increased 100% in Wisconsin this year. The increase also a national trend, with the FBI reporting more fatal police shootings every year since 2015. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman said during a news conference Tuesday that firearms are a major issue.
There should be no reason why we have young adults in the hands of firearms. We should not have individuals who have, long criminal histories involved with firearms.
2023 also marks the deadliest year for Wisconsin police in over 2 decades. 4 officers killed in the line of duty, including Milwaukee police officer Peter Jerving back in February. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
The Wisconsin Professional Police Association data shows that 100% of subjects shot by police so far this year did have a gun or a knife on them. Some breaking sports news. The New York Mets have received permission to interview Craig Counsell. That could come at any time. Again, Craig Counsell, who's been trying to determine what he'll do in the future, whether or not it's to manage with the Brewers or elsewhere, has been now given permission to interview with the New York Mets. Time now for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Checking the numbers right now on Wall Street. The Dow is up 22 to 33,163. The Nasdaq is down on 239 to 12,900. And the S&P is down 43 to 4204. Annex Insight, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client. They'll meet you where you're at. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Siding Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 11:03.
Hey, the future of joint pain relief is right here in Milwaukee. It's QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine, and it's amazing. Hey, it's Greg Matzik. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your own body's healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, or your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Hey, life is all about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call the local medical professionals and get a free consultation today. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Call 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Again, 414-285-3474.
A decision we made that nobody believed in, that we felt strongly about, was the name change from PM Bedroom Gallery to Penny Mustard.
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Well, we knew the name fit right away. Yeah. And I mean, when we saw the name, I'm like, yep, that's it. And you saw the name and you were like, that's it.
Yep.
And we had a key employee that said, I won't even work for a company that has that name. I couldn't even wear a shirt that has that name on it.
But I remember after we announced that, the Journal Sentinel in Milwaukee had ran an article, and then there was a bunch of comments online afterwards. And I remember counting, there was 145 comments. 143 were negative, and some extremely negative.
Yes.
Brutal.
Hate mail.
It was bad.
It was bad. People hated it.
And the other two that weren't negative were like, oh, this is genius. It's got all you guys talking about it.
The other one might have been our mom.
See more at pennymustard.com.
So I guess the moral of the story is, if you know something's right and everybody else says it's not the thing to do,
go with your gut.
Go with your gut. Yep.
Time for a WTMJ sports update. Brewers manager Craig Counsell will interview with the New York Mets. ESPN reporting that he has been given permission to interview with New York. Time now for checking your roads. WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving. Time saver traffic. So far, so good for the most part. 94 eastbound, Highway 16 through the zoo and into downtown. So far is looking good there. Heads up northbound 4145, just north of the zoo interchange. You're going to see some slowdowns through the construction in that stretch. You'll get through it, but you will notice some brake lights there. 43 southbound Brown Deer Road into downtown is clear. 94 northbound from Layton into the Marquette on time at the moment. That's a 7-minute trip.
Traffic is sponsored by Weisgerber's Golden Mast Inn, your place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Make plans this Sunday to visit the Golden Mast for their all-you-can-eat champagne brunch. Enjoy fine dining from 10:30 until 2 at the Golden Mast. Call the Golden Mast and make reservations now.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast, cloudy and breezy, a high of 68. Tonight, a chance for showers, maybe even a storm, a low of 60. Thursday, rain possible. Some scattered showers are possible as well, a high of 68. Friday, a chance for showers again, more mild, a high of 68. Saturday, sunny and cooler, 51's the high. Sunday, chance for rain again and a high of 47 degrees. Right now in Milwaukee, 65. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:07.
It's WTMJ Now. News, opinions, Wisconsin. Everything you need to know in the Badger State and beyond. Here's your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Sandy Max.
Welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, 11 o'clock hour. That means Ask Steve Anything. Any question, fair game? I see Don's already queued up. Mines are hopping there. Text line, 855-616-1620. Let's go to the phone lines right out of the gate. Don from the West Side. Don, what's on your mind today? Ask Steve Anything.
All right, Steve. My question is this. Has the Republican Party come to the point where they cannot do anything or even elect someone to a position without Trump's permission? And if that's true, this country is done, and we're going to be just like Germany, where nothing was done without Hitler's permission. And that's the way this country seems to be going.
That's a strong take, Don. I'll answer it this way. The answer is yes, apparently, because yesterday a different candidate had the most votes, and because of a series of phone calls by former President Donald Trump, he was essentially thrown out of that leadership position. And then Donald Trump allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly, I probably don't need to, supports Mike Johnson And now there will be a vote coming up momentarily here to confirm him as the speaker. And there's some reports, at least looking at the screens monitors I'm looking at, that he may have the vote. So we'll find out, which is concerning for me from one perspective because he's an election denier, and to have someone that close to the position of president is scary. And two, what does it say about let's just focus on Wisconsin since we're in Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin. Every congressman that's a Republican bends over to Donald Trump because Donald Trump asked them to support such and such person. Is that a good thing? I would like my congressmen or women to think independently and to, in some cases, ignore the advice of a former president who's facing multiple indictments in multiple jurisdictions. Tom from Sun Prairie has a completely different question. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. Ask Steve anything.
Yeah, happy Wednesday to you too, Steve. Steve, recently, my wife and I were retired. Been in the beer business, wasn't retired from the beer business 55 years. And when we go out to dinner at fine restaurants, and I'm talking more upscale restaurants or any kind of a nice restaurant, and they tell you, they come in and they tell you to have a seat at the bar, we've seen more what I would call less responsible parenting with kids sitting at the bar with their parents, 2, 4, 5, 6 years old, playing with a toy, having their head on the bar, and taking up a seat. I don't like it as a customer. I don't think it's right, and I don't think it's proper parenting on my behalf. What do you think, Steve? What would you do if you were?
Yeah, great question, Tom. Well, here I'll let you hang up and listen to the answer. I don't like it either. I don't even know if it's legal, but regardless of that, I don't want kids sitting at a bar in any kind of an establishment. A bar is for adults. Now, you can be in a restaurant that's attached with a bar attached to it. That's fine. But I don't want kids sitting next to other adults who are consuming alcohol in the bar of any place that I'm at least while they're serving alcohol. If you got some other event that you're renting your place out for, that's a different story. But I don't think that is an appropriate place for kids to be sitting in an establishment. And somebody who is more attuned to the laws of restaurants and bars in the state will probably let me know on the Old National Bank talking text line 855-616-1620 if I'm right on that. I don't think it's legal. Now, they'll probably say, well, if your parents are standing next to you, the parent could sit there and the kid could stand behind him, but I don't think kids should be sitting in a bar. And hopefully I answered your question. Steve from my favorite city of Oak Creek is next up on Ask Steve Anything. What's your question, Steve?
My question for you, Steve, is will you lead the campaign to keep Craig Counsell with the Brewers in Milwaukee? That news story that he's been given permission to interview with the Mets is just scary to hear. So we need a big campaign to keep Craig Counsell with the Milwaukee Brewers. Craig, stay.
Yeah, I will sign up for that. Do you think he's going to stay?
I hope he stays.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for the call, Steve. I'm a Craig Counsell guy. Big fan of his work. He has made the Brewers relevant even with all the challenges of the salary cap and all those things that small market baseball. We've done very well in attendance. This team averages like 2.5 million people in a very small market. Craig Counsell has assembled every year different, and there's a few holdovers each year. The team has evolved and changed over the years. What is it, 5 out of 6 of the last season's playoff appearances? Where he's failed, and I do use the word on purpose, is in advancing in the postseason. And that's a big deal to me. Because I'm not a happy to be here fan where, I'm slam a few beers, have a few brats, and I don't care what happens on the field or the court. That's not me. There's a point to playing these games, and the point to me is to win the World Series. And the frustrating thing from a Brewers fan, a couple things. One is that every team that we've lost to over this long period of futility has gone on to win or play in the World Series. And two, I want to win a championship World Series as a Brewers fan. I've never been able to say that. I've been able to say it as a fan of the Green Bay Packers a bunch of times. I've been able to say it twice as a fan of the Milwaukee Bucks. And we had that moment in 82 that, frankly, most of us who were around at that time are tired of talking about. And in the annals of sports is ancient history. And I'm not a big fan of recency bias, but for the Milwaukee Brewers, it's some success, but limited at best when you get to the playoffs. Good, diverse questions so far. Ask Steve anything. 855-616-1620. Got a bunch on the text line. And some clarification on the children sitting at the bar issue, looks like. So we'll get to those and more after this.
More of WTMJ Now after this. Every day it seems like there's always something new going on in the world of politics. Join WTMJ Now for the Political Power Hour. Bill McCoshen.
The first lesson I learned when I worked for Governor Thompson is never give away power.
And Joe Zepecki.
I'm often accused of being the Eeyore on this panel, so let's try to find a silver lining.
Will help make sense of today's political headlines.
He's the guy that sits in the front of the class and always has an answer for something, and you're like, sit down and shut up.
I thought you were that guy.
No.
It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ.
Hey, Sandy Max here. I've been telling you all summer about my friends at Three Pillars, Wisconsin's top-rated continuing care retirement community located in beautiful Dousman. Three Pillars is offering a free CNA training program for adults 18 and over starting November 6th. You get $15 an hour during training, then $21 an hour after successful completion of the course. It's a great entry into an unbelievable career, making a huge difference in the lives of others. Find out how you can learn from and work with the best in Wisconsin at threepillars.org. That's threepillars.org.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Excel Concrete Coatings, the local family company that transformed my garage. The floor was cracked and uneven. Excel fixed it, topped it with a beautiful multicolored surface. Garage floor, pool deck, basement, outdoor patio. If it's concrete, they'll coat it. Get a free estimate. You'll be surprised how affordable. Most projects between $1,500 and just $3,000. Look up Greg and Luann at excelconcretecoatings.com. Tell them Vinny sent you. excelconcretecoatings.com. Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. I've had chiropractic care on and off my entire adult life. I can tell you Dr. Alex and his team at Connect Chiropractic do it different. No twisting, no cracking, no popping. At Connect Chiropractic, they use a special tool for adjustments focused on restoring nerve and muscle function. It's not just making your neck and back feel better, although mine already do. Connect Chiropractic can help with headaches, sciatica, vertigo, and more. Schedule an appointment now at GoConnectChiro.com. Tell them Vinny sent you. GoConnectChiro.com.
WTMJ Now.
One of my favorite hours of the week, Ask Steve Anything. John from Burlington asked this question. Does Speaker of the House need to be a representative? No. If not, could Paul Ryan be nominated? As a fan of Paul Ryan, I'd say absolutely. And maybe at some point in the... I guess we'll find out what happens today, because this is kind of the latest round of absurdity when it comes to nominees for this position. I think this is the fourth go here. And basically, this is the Trump-endorsed candidate. So the Republicans in the House have basically said, we're going to bend over for Donald Trump. Whatever he wants, we'll do. And if you're okay with that as a Republican, I guess you're like, yeah, that's what I want to see, but I'm not one of those people. I actually would like to win the next election for president versus getting my way, making a point, being able to yell out loud in restaurants when people look at you like the crazy person, but you have the freedom to do that, that kind of stuff. The technical answer on that question, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5 of the U.S. Constitution, Speaker does not explicitly have to be a member of the House. So as far as that goes, and I guess this is always open to interpretation as well, could be anybody, including one of the members, was it Troy Nels, floated Donald Trump as a potential Speaker. I noticed he didn't come up for a vote, though. The House Speaker vote is ongoing as we speak. And we will find out pretty quickly here if the latest nominee, Mike Johnson, has the votes. There's some reporting that he does. So, surprise, surprise, maybe we'll have a Speaker of the House, albeit an election denier. Let's see. Has Trump come out and said anything regarding the Israeli situation? If yes, I haven't caught it. Other than some weird comments about the terrorists involved, I don't know that he's specifically said anything. I know he's a supporter of Israel. He actually, that was one of the positives of the Trump administration, moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So that was a plus. So I would assume that he's pro-Israel, but I mean, he's so tied up with all the court issues that he's facing that, and including sitting in courtrooms for a long period of time, which it begs the question, when is he going to campaign? From the 414, a very relevant question because I'll be in Vegas next week. When are you soon visiting Vegas, and are you aware that it'll soon be overrun by crazy reality show stars and fans November 3rd through the 5th for the annual BravoCon? All right, so I'm actually there that weekend, which is not this weekend but next weekend. First I'm hearing about this. Reality TV show stars. I'll be at the Aria, beautiful Aria Hotel on the Strip in Vegas. Probably going to be watching and betting on a lot of NFL football, maybe a little college. So I am now aware of this. There wasn't a question there, but I guess the question was, when am I visiting? So I'll be gone next week. I will be out from the show next Thursday, Friday, and Monday, and stay tuned for a exciting list of fill-in hosts that may surprise you. I'll say that. All right. Steve, how do you feel about the proposal for a high-speed train between Milwaukee and Madison with a station stop at AmFam Field? As long as it's truly high-speed, as long as it doesn't cost $1 billion, sure. The problem with all these high-speed train proposals we've seen over the last few decades here, they're not high-speed. I don't want to just necessarily add trains. High-speed to me means more than 150 miles an hour. You get me to Minneapolis in 2 hours or less, yeah, I'll sign up for that. You get me anywhere that's far away in a short amount of time, I'm going to be an advocate for that. That's high-speed trains. The problem we've had here is these proposals are just the current technology. Slow trains that stop too much, kind of like buses, right? They're slow and they have too many stops. That's where the express bus came from. Steve, will there ever be an end to athletes getting a ridiculous amount of money to play a game? It seems to raise the price of everything for the fan. Not in our lifetime, probably. There is a point, though. I had this conversation at a game recently. It might have been a Packers. Probably it was a Packers game. About the cost of tickets. And I've been a season ticket holder for a long time, and the price of tickets is not inexpensive. It's a significant amount of money that the loyal fans of the Green Bay Packers in that case, or the fans of the Brewers, or the Bucks, or the Admirals, we shell out a lot of money. We're not couch fans. We actually go to the games, we spend money, we buy the shirts and all that stuff. We don't just sit on a beer and watch the game. We sit with our beer on the couch and watch the game. So at some point, is there a line where fans say, I can't afford this anymore? Maybe, but not anytime soon. All right, let's see. I was just in Madison. You can buy non-ethanol fuel at the pump. Is it about time we can buy recreational non-ethanol fuel in Milwaukee? I'm not a big fuel guy. Anything that lowers my cost at the pump, I'm a fan of. Don't we have the reformulated gas here that makes us pay more, which I think has zero impact on the environment? Although I'm sure tree huggers will disagree with me. From the 815, last time I checked, that's in Illinois. What would it take for bipartisan moderates to realize that they outnumber the fringes of each party and band together? What would it take? Oh, I don't know. Courage? Bravery? Seems surprising to use those terms when you talk about politics, but a willingness to upset Donald Trump? I can't for the life of me figure out what the allegiance to Donald Trump is. And I'm probably going to do this topic next week, but I saw a poll this morning before the show that I'm going to kind of paraphrase it because I don't have it in front of me, but I'll give you the sense of what it was. This is the scary part. And it basically said in the headline, 1 in 4 Americans support violence as a means to a political end. Think about that for a second. 1 in 5 Americans supporting violence as a means to an end for politics. Anybody think that's dangerous? It's just as absurd as comparing the slaughter of innocent civilians in Israel to Israel defending itself in Gaza. They're not the same thing. Yeah, the net result is people will die, certainly. But one has led to the other. And I made this point yesterday. Anybody think the innocent slaughter of 38 million civilians in World War II wasn't worth the effort to defeat Hitler and the axis of evil? I don't think there's many people that would sign up on that short list. So think about what you say, college students. Think about what you write. Think about the consequences of those actions and that behavior. More time to get your questions in. 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank talk and text line wide open. Phone calls are welcome as well. I don't bite. We'll see what you got on your mind, what questions you will ask, what areas you will delve into, or at least I will, after this on WTMJ Now.
More of WTMJ Now after this. Congratulations to our very own Jeff Wagner, retiring after 25 years on WTMJ.
No show lasts forever. I'm going to be retiring from WTMJ at the end of this year.
But he's not done yet.
Congrats early on your retirement.
Well, I'm around for another 2 months. Can't get rid of me before December 15th.
Keep tuning in and don't miss out on our send-off to the one and only Jeff Wagner. We are Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620 WTMJ.
AccuNet Mortgages and Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 255368.
The average 30-year fixed rate is the highest it's been in 23 years, but low overhead AccuNet still has some special 30-year fixed rate money for first-time Wisconsin homebuyers at a rate of 6.625%. That's right, 6.625 on a 30-year fixed with an APR as low as 6.8 with as little as 3% down. Household income limits apply and vary by household size and the county in which your new home is located. Now, you might be thinking this is too good to be true, but it is true, and it gets even a little better. AccuNet can also provide a 10-year fixed second mortgage at an APR of 6.625 to cover the minimum 3% down payment and closing costs. First-time buyers in today's market have an advantage. You don't have a home to sell, and the housing market is a little less competitive all of a sudden, too. Hear that sound? That's opportunity knocking. Answer the door and click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com for your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
The all-new Potawatomi Casino Hotel has something you gotta see. Play more slots and games, and you could say, "Show me the money," to reveal up to 10 grand each Thursday. 800,000 in prizes is up for grabs. 40 winners each week. This October and November at Potawatomi, Milwaukee, when you're ready to win, just say, "Show me the money." More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
It's WTMJ Now.
Oh, yeah, it's Ask Me Anything today, Wednesday, 11 o'clock hour, before we hand it off to Jeff Wagner at noon. Rocking out on a Wednesday. Steve from the 920. Doesn't that seem like these new GOP party annex started with the election of Donald Trump? You think? But I would actually, the craziness of politics started with Bill Clinton and an intern. And I think that was in the 90s. So careful just putting it all on Donald Trump. I mean, there's a lot to put there, but the craziness, the insanity, the rise of talk radio was really based on that Clinton episode. The texture goes on to say, our respect and trust in our elected politicians do the honorable thing is gone. It's a clown parade, clown circus. Is what it is now. Nothing too absurd, nothing too crazy. You can be an absolute serial liar like George Santos and still be voting for the next Speaker of the House, facing multiple charges, serious charges, financial charges, lying. And none of this matters anymore. All standards are gone. We sat here in Wisconsin. I'm going to take Lynn from Saukville in a second, but we sat here in Wisconsin and listened to some people I actually respected with this imaginary tale of an election stolen in Wisconsin, who was it, Representative Sanfilippo, saying we should have an election do-over. What person in their right mind would say such a thing? We don't have election do-overs. But he was on my show saying that. Then we had the Gableman investigation, the fake investigation, which really was spending money to spend money, which turned up nothing and is now wrapped up in about, I don't even know how many legal challenges on our dime. And now the absurdity of a president facing multiple indictments for serious election interference and racketeering, and is the leading candidates for office. Lynn from Saukville joins us. Hi, Lynn. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday.
Good morning. As always, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I really appreciate your input. You always give great responses. And just so you know, I'm a loyal listener, and I appreciate you. And on that topic that you just spoke about, my very serious question, I'm not joking, can Trump, and this is just your best guesstimate, is it possible that he could actually be found guilty on any of these multiple charges in all the different areas? And if that happens, can he still run for president, which just breaks my heart? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. Thanks for the kind words. Yes, he could be found guilty. Yes, I think he will be found guilty on several of these charges, if not all. And yes, he will run, because apparently our founding fathers, in all their great wisdom, forgot the part where a felon shouldn't be president of the United States, or at least made it so gray that's open for interpretation. So as much as I praise the founding fathers, including my favorite president, George Washington, you kind of screwed up on that important one. Because last time I checked, criminals shouldn't be presidents of the United States. That's an opinion, but I think it's well-founded in, common sense, logic, the realities of the job. And a vindictive president, a president who's going to look at it as basically a get-out-of-jail-free card for him and all the other people who have been charged, including, by the way, all the individuals who are now convicted on the January 6th insurrection/riots. He'll let all those folks go, too. Some who are serving lengthy sentences for violence against the law enforcement community. One of my big frustrations with Republicans and conservatives, they've somehow absolved these people from attacking members of law enforcement, when all I ever hear from these folks is back the blue. But that one's okay, because that was for Donald Trump. Yeah, that one's all right. We're good on that one. That was tourists. That was people just visiting the Capitol. It got rough, sure, but that was just tourists. All right, from Jim in Economowalk, have you noticed the Republicans have considered about a dozen men in private meetings for the speaker role, but no women? Do Republicans feel women are inferior and capable of leading? What's going on exactly? Jim, it's a great point. And I could be wrong, but I don't know that there's been more than maybe one woman nominated. And I thought Elise Stefanik was nominated once, but I could be wrong on that. None have been the final designee from the forums and caucuses that Republicans have held. And as somebody who talks about the power of women, and I've said on the show since day one that women are smarter than men, they're certainly capable of doing the job. Susie joins us from Milwaukee. Hi, Susie.
Hi, Steve. So I don't know if there's anything Ronna McDaniel can do, but can she have lunch with Donald and say, look, we appreciate your, interest, but we need to go. As the leader of the GOP, we need to go in a different direction, and thanks so much. That's a
fantastic question. Thanks, Susie, for calling. Here's the reality. I don't know if people realize this. Ronna McDaniel, the chair of the GOP, Republican Party, is a huge Trump backer. Like a lot of other people who kind of, walk in this line, including former Governor Scott Walker, who I think would love to see Donald Trump be president, even though he probably won't say it out loud in a tweet or a post. Behind the scenes, I said this the other day, and both Joe and Bill disagreed with me. There's a lot of people in the Republican Party actively working on behalf of Donald Trump. That both sickens me and doesn't surprise me. whether it's the lack of clarity on who could be the alternative, and I've said over and over again, I'm an unbiased supporter of Nikki Haley, talking about women in government. Nikki Haley could not only win if Donald Trump was not in the picture, Nikki Haley could win the nomination and win the presidency. Be the first woman president. Lead Republicans in a completely new direction that doesn't involve BS, weird late-night rantings on social media, and the insane adoration of foreign dictators. So, yeah, I'm hopeful. But the bottom line is, and the former governor can deny it if he wants to, part of me thinks that in the back of his mind, he would love to see Donald Trump be the guy here walking that stage as the nominee in Milwaukee next year. And I'm sure he'll be front and center cheering that on, whatever he says on social media. We'll take a break here. Lots more time for questions. Ask Steve anything. James, you'll be up next. Lots of texts as well. We'll do all of that. Ask Steve anything. Any question, fair game, any topic as well. More of that after this on WTMJ.
It's WTMJ Now.
I'm living the life that I lived before I started having knee pain 10 years ago.
Meet Julie, a woman who makes the most of every moment in life. But over the last years, those moments were filled with agonizing pain until she discovered QC Kinetics.
Finally, the pain got so bad that people around me are like, oh, when are you getting your knee replaced? I was walking, hobbling. I listened to my last QC Kinetics commercial and I said, I'm done. I got to find out about this.
What Julie found out was QC Kinetics treats osteoarthritis with regenerative therapies, taking your body's own healing properties and concentrating them in the areas where you feel pain, helping heal and restore those damaged areas. No harmful steroids, surgery, or downtime.
It changed how I'm living. I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
Get back your life before the pain. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
When traveling at 20 miles per hour, the average stopping distance is about 40 feet.
That stopping power is calculated in both thinking and braking distance.
And assuming you've got the thinking and braking part down, the only thing left is good tires.
Just Google Richlands to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 convenient locations.
And rest assured, we'll put you in the right tire no matter what sort of vehicle you drive.
Plus, every tire purchase that we install automatically comes with our free flat tire protection plan.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved,
and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to install your tires.
So Google Richlands
or go to richlands.com.
And remember to be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for tire service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
WTMJ Now.
Ask Steve Anything is the segment for this hour. Always one of my favorite times of the week. Steve, you're our voice of reason. We need this more than ever. I'm an independent and don't understand either what the attraction is to the former president or to AOC on the far left. It's so scary that one man has so much power in our democratic country. Thanks for being you. Loyal listener in Fredonia, thanks for that from the 414. James with a completely unrelated question. Hi, James.
How you doing there, Steve? Have you or your wife ever had a recipe in the cookie book by the electric company or any other type of book of that nature?
It's funny you asked that. It's funny you asked that, James, because I thought at one point my wife submitted a recipe, but it would be like 10 years ago. She'll text me if I'm right or wrong. Maybe not. Maybe they asked us and we didn't. But yeah, no, I don't have thanks for the call, James. I don't have a recipe in the current edition of the We Energies book, which there's a bunch of them here from the old editions, so collector's editions. And I actually put one in my backpack yesterday to take home. All right, Scott from New Berlin is next up. Hi, Scott. Welcome to the show. Ask Steve anything.
Good morning, Steve. I'd like to ask you about, and it's due for a deep question, is the embracing of fascism by the Republican Party. And we don't really have conservatives as Republicans. They're fascists. They literally change laws to keep their power, gerrymander to keep power. Here in Wisconsin, we change the laws to change the governor's power when they're not from their party. They want to overturn a Supreme Court election because they don't feel that it supports their party. You have Ron DeSantis firing attorney generals because they don't follow his lead, stripping colleges of their entire boards because they don't tote his political beliefs, and the elimination of the right to vote, how they're trying to restrict the right to vote, so only their voters vote, being able to overturn elections. They have no interest in democracy. I mean, they have really embraced fascism, and I think it's due for a serious discussion.
Let me answer that question, and interesting question. So I define fascism as you have to have a dictator, right, or a leader like that. Militaristic attitudes, actively suppressing opposition. We already see that. Sort of a belief in like a natural order of things. These people are high achievers. These people aren't. Therefore, we should push them down. I think a lot of this has been magnified by the former president, Donald Trump, and that contributes to this. But I'm a big fan of the United States of America, and I think at some point people, and I said this to somebody the other day at a restaurant. This may be the moment, and this is what's required. Let's say Donald Trump wins a nomination. They celebrate it here in Milwaukee. He runs against Joe Biden or whoever the Democrats put up, and he absolutely gets destroyed in the election. And you can define that the way you want. Now, what do we know about Donald Trump? He's going to argue again that the election was stolen. What do we do with that? It's at that moment where decent, honest, God-fearing Republicans need to say, you know what? We've seen this movie. I don't want to watch it again. And maybe it's going to take that kind of a hard slap to the face, figuratively speaking, for Republicans, the ones that are solidly in the Trump camp, to say, you know what? This ain't working for us. We'd like to win elections in Wisconsin for presidents. And these are tough times because right now the president is clearly running away with this race under this weird notion that he's being oppressed, held down. There's nobody stopping Donald Trump for doing anything. Still doing his rallies. Now, unfortunately, the reality of his conduct means he's going to be spending a lot of time in courtrooms, not running a race for president. And I still have faith, and I know Jeff has talked about this as well on his program, that Americans will come to their senses and say, you know what, this is probably not a good recipe for success for Republicans or for the country. I'm confident, at least optimistic, that that's what could happen. From the 414, why do you think the fake elections in Wisconsin were not held accountable when they are in other states? I've said before that is a story to watch. You will not see action until that story has been determined on a national level, whether that's Fulton County, Georgia, or elsewhere. But I've said it before. There will be accountability for anyone involved in and I'm going to ask Rick Essenberg, who's going to be in studio tomorrow talking about all the Trump trials, engaging in what I call election fraud. And that's a broad term. But my opinion, and Rick can certainly disagree, and he often does, doing what they did, holding a meeting in secret, putting up a fake slate of electors to protect their interests in the election amounts to election fraud, in my opinion. And he can disagree, and he probably will. But I am confident that whatever happens in those other cases will dictate the future of whatever it is that took place as far as fake electors in the state of Wisconsin. Another break here. Still one more segment. Ask Steve anything. What's your question? Any question, fair game. We'll do that after this on WTMJ.
More of WTMJ now after this.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No. Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
For those who just can't wait for Black Friday, head over to Fleet Farm today for great Black Friday Now deals. Like a free battery pack with Milwaukee heated jackets, in-store only. Or 40% off all men's Field and Forest flannel. And don't miss our trick-or-treating event on Saturday, October 28th from 10 till noon. With treats for the first 200 kids and gift cards for best costumes. Enjoy Black Friday savings now at Fleet Farm, home of everything you need for everyday life.
You know, it feels good when I find something really cool and get a great deal on it. But it feels even better when I know that the money I spend actually goes directly to helping others. That's why I shop at St. Vincent de Paul, because I always find the best bargains, and the money I spend stays in Milwaukee County to help fight hunger and eliminate poverty. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton in Greenfield and 23rd in Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
The famous Fox and Hounds and Mineshaft restaurants are hiring servers, bartenders, bussers, food runners, and barbacks. It's a great part-time job for high school and college students and retirees. Make real money. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids. Inquire today. Start next week.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Pain relief and gimmicks. The two seem to go hand in hand, and it really is a shame, because when you're living with chronic pain, you're vulnerable. And that's why so many people get tricked into buying unproven treatments. At Rejuvenex, we understand how you suffer, how you wait to get out of bed because you know the pain is coming. Chronic pain from osteoarthritis is a terrible thing. And that's why we use our proprietary, powerful, FDA-approved treatments to precisely target your affected areas, to provide cushion and lubrication that helps deliver long-lasting pain relief in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We're in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
WTMJ Now.
A few more minutes for Ask Steve Anything. This one from the 414. Do you believe that grifters are hoping Trump gets elected so they can grift the position inside the White House? Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Everybody wants something, right? There's no end to the line of people, back to the text, who are willing to sacrifice common sense and our democracy to line their own pockets. It's not exclusive to this era of politics, certainly. Somebody asked about YouTube, my experience on YouTube since I cut the cord. Absolutely love it. A lot cheaper. Has features that I'd never had with my old service. Big fan. And everybody's different. Everybody consumes differently. I will tell you that YouTube TV is a little more challenging as far as the technical aspects of it. But once you figure it out, you figure it out. And there's a variety of channels and media that I wasn't able to access with my old service. So I cut my cost from $180 to right now $54.99 or something like that. So definitely worth it. Let's see. Here's a funny one from the 414. If Shaggy and Scooby-Doo came to Milwaukee, where would they eat lunch? There's no shortage of great places to eat lunch. Carnivore. I don't know if they're open for lunch. Dinner is amazing there. Capitol Grill. I went to the Miller Time Cafe down the street last week. Great food. And, of course, we have the Avenue here, 3rd Street Market Hall. There's got to be, 20 restaurants in here for every kind of food you can possibly imagine. And every time I turn around, they open up a new one. So that's certainly a possibility. So multitude of options. I will be dining out on Friday in the 3rd Ward, and the Wicked Hop is where we're going. So I haven't eaten dinner there in a long time, so we'll try that out. Let's see. Good morning, Steve. This is sort of a funny one. How many times a week do you say when I was mayor? Hopefully not that often. Maybe once, twice, maybe. Does that bother you? Because I can say it more often. I can even ring a bell when I say it, if you really want me to push the envelope. Jack from Caledonia. Dictator just forces people to take an experimental vaccine. I assume you're talking about the current administration, but keep in mind that and I know Jack because I hear Jack on other shows and on my show occasionally, and he's a good guy. we differ on some of our political leanings. Donald Trump was an advocate for the vaccine. The pandemic happened during his watch as president. So I would be careful with that one. Let's see. Do you think Joe Biden is running the country better than Trump did? It's a fair question. No, there's serious problems the way this country is being managed. Militarily, as far as the energy policy of the country, we have kind of gone backwards. It's good to see gas prices down. What did I pay, $2.99 yesterday? That's welcome. Food prices coming down a little bit, although there's still some items that are expensive. You can buy eggs now for just over $1. What were they, like $6 a year ago? There's some good news, but for the Democrats out there to think that Joe Biden is somehow the answer to all of our problems, yeah, maybe 20 years ago, but the current version of Joe Biden, I don't think is the same version that existed 2 decades ago. Let's see. Do you think the Democrats want Trump to be the nominee? Sure, because I think they see that as an easy mark. I would caution them, though. Crazy things can happen in elections. Third-party candidates, whether one or more individuals siphon votes from the Democrats or Republicans, that can impact the final results. So I think you have to be careful with that. I just want, from a Republican perspective, I want somebody that I can actually enthusiastically embrace for the office of president. That's my ask. Has been for a while. I'm not mad at you that you like Donald Trump. That's your thing. You do your thing. And I don't think he's going to win the election, but we'll see. Darren joins us on the phone from Waukesha. Hi, Darren. Hello, Darren. No, Darren. All right, so we'll hang up on Darren. Hopefully, he can reconnect. I'm going to go to break here pretty soon, so make it quick. Steve, you cut the cord. Well, what are you using for internet service? How much is that costing you? I'm using T-Mobile, and it's fantastic, and it's still cheaper than the alternative. Does that answer the question? 414. Good old George Webb for lunch. Yeah, I'm a fan. I think it was last year. I got out of the show. I think we had an early stop. We had 11 for Brewers. I actually went to George Webb on the way home, had a fantastic lunch. And I had not done that in a while. And I thought to myself, I got to get back to George Webb because those of us who went to college in the 80s, George Webb was like the spot to go post-bar time. Charlie's nodding his head like, yes.
Yeah, we had a diner in Champaign that was just like that.
Yeah, that was the thing. You had your fun, your antics in your local establishment, and then you kind of went to the George Webb and finished your night, put a little food in your belly, gave yourself indigestion, and then slept it off in the morning because you didn't have to wake up early for anything. What a world we lived in. And we'll see if the world is going to change. We have an ongoing speaker vote. It looks like Republicans rather have 220 people in the room, so that if my math is right, they can't have 4 people vote for anyone other than Mr. Johnson, Representative Johnson. So we shall see what happens. It sounds like he's got the votes. At least that's what I'm reading and hearing, but we shall find out. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll hear what Jeff Wagner is going to talk about. That's all coming up after this on WTMJ.
More of WTMJ now after this. New season, new coach.